Howdy, welcome to episode 141 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. With the release of version 4.20.75 of its smartphone app, Tesla has enabled the toggling of passive authentication. This will prevent cars from being unintentionally unlocked and drivable in cases where the owner's smartphone is inadvertently within Bluetooth range of the car, such as when owners occupy an adjacent caravan or similar accommodation. Tesla has killed its right-hand drive Model S and X program. In the introduction of an email sent to Australian order holders, Tesla stated that, due to recent changes to the vehicle program, Model X, or S, will not be available in right-hand drive. Unfortunately, this means your order is unable to be fulfilled and will be cancelled. You'll receive a full refund for any payments made. We understand that this may be disappointing news to receive and want to apologise for any inconvenience caused. Not good enough. Texan drone operator Joe Tetmeyer has spotted Cybertruck front castings at Tesla's Austin Gigafactory. This finding bodes well for the commencement of Cybertruck production over the coming months. The WAEV network is progressing well with the commissioning and opening of 4 more sites in Western Australia. Synergy have opened Manjimup, Williams and Albany, and Horizon Power has opened its first site in Broome. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone. It's actually been 2 weeks since we had our last Ask Us Anything, because obviously we had our casual meetup last week, which I trust went really well, and we can always discuss that a little bit later in the program. But customarily we like to have anyone who's new introduce themselves, and if anyone is, please do unmute yourselves and say hello.
Hello. Thank you, Harold. George speaking.
Welcome, George.
Thank you. I've been a YouTuber, a Tokwa YouTuber for quite a while, and a member of Tokwa, but decided to come out of my box and say hello for a change.
Fantastic. Welcome.
The fantastic car that I own. Let's jump back. When you started the news, I just realized that I've been a Tokwa YouTuber for so long that I found myself saying alrighty every now and again, which is a bit worrying, but anyway, so I'm a proud Model Y owner. Bought one last year, wasn't really in the market. My wife and I was looking for a car, wasn't sure, nothing really tickled our fancy enough, and one day she came home in a lift with a colleague of hers in a Model 3. And early in June, first week in June, we decided to go for a test drive, liked it, told the salesman, I'm really more interested in the bigger version. As you probably know, what happened on the 10th of June, and he kindly phoned me the morning and said, orders are open. So I quickly jumped in and placed an order.
Fantastic. And did you get the rear-wheel drive Model Y or the performance Model Y?
The full power pack.
Oh, cool. So white on black, poverty pearl white, black interior, standard range Model Y.
That's it.
Excellent. Very good choice, actually. That was one of the cars that my wife and I had as well, and it's a very good car. Excellent. Well, welcome, George. And I believe we might have at least someone else that would like to say hello.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name's Dean.
Welcome, Dean.
Thank you. I've been a Tokwa member since September last year. We have a Model 3 LR and a Model Y rear-wheel drive. Actually, Model Y came the same batch as yours, Harold. We have the same series number plates.
Very good.
They arrived 5 days apart, so that was a big change in the household. We'd originally decided to go for the 3, ordered that back in March last year, and then I saw the rumours about Model Y, and my wife had been wanting an SUV, so I was in my kids' school car park at 8 a.m. When the orders opened, and so I was sitting there on my phone trying to order, getting in that first batch. And then the plan was to decide which one, and forego the $350 order fee on one of them, but the ability to lease one was too good to pass up, so we ended up with both.
Very good. Very good. And it's great to go almost straight to a two Tesla family. It's a very good choice to make.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And both cars have been, life changes for us. Really, it's such a difference from coming from petrol cars.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, congratulations. And
Thank
all
you.
right, I'm gonna risk it, even though I did ask, and I think only two people replied. But let's try for a third just for luck, and if not, just to get that one pregnant pause out there. So, is there anyone else that would like to say hello?
I'll say hello.
G'day, Pete. Hello.
Hi there. This
Tell
is
us.
my second time on the Zoom.
Very good. And tell us about your car.
It's marvelous. Standard range, Model 3, bought it secondhand when the previous owner suddenly had a Model Y that just appeared. They didn't have to wait any longer, so they had to pass on their first Tesla, which I was really happy about. My question tonight is about gravel rash on the wheels. Today I managed to score some reversing out of a car park or parking spot, and I heard it, oh, the bugger. So I've heard that you can get the rims skimmed or something. Is that true? And if it is true, is it a good idea?
It
I-
is true from what I understand. The cost is roughly about $200 per wheel. There's a guy, his name is Andrew at Smart Finish, that comes out to your house, so you can drop them off and he'll do them for you. Yeah, $200 seems to be the going rate. And you've probably damaged your aero covers as well, the plastic covers, but you can buy those separately from the Tesla store at $50 a pop. So $250 all up, it will probably be your damage. There are third-party aero type plastic covers as well. They go probably another 2 or 3 mil further, and they actually cover the rim, so that if that ever happens again, you'll only damage the plastic aero cover rather than the wheel underneath.
Right. Thanks for that, Pete.
That's the smart. That's the website there, Smart Finish, and if you just look them up, they can actually do that.
I don't think he'll want to bring them to me because I live in Albany.
Oh yes, but look, best to contact them anyway, because who knows, they might have a loan rim or something like that they could do, or I don't know how long the process is. But perhaps if you're up in Perth at some stage, you might be able to get them done. But certainly worth making contact.
Yeah, I really, I hadn't been to Perth for ages, and the only thing that got me there was a booking of a test drive in a Model Y. So
very good, very good. Well, welcome, Pete.
Thanks.
What I thought I might do is, at the early part of this program, before we go into general questions and comments, I thought I might just address, because it has been, this obviously broke a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't have an episode last week because of our casual meetup. And it's basically the killing of the Model S and X. So, and obviously, full disclosure, I did have a reservation for a Model X. I placed it on the 9th of January 2021 and was looking forward to it. But anything I say from now on is not really from my personal opinion as such. It's not my personal sort of thing about what's happened. We just want to sort of keep it professional. So this has been well ventilated on Twitter, but the core reason that the S and X program was cancelled was, if we have a look on the left, this is a Model Y that was torn down by Munro and Associates, and you can see there's actually a symmetrical bulkhead. This is for the Model Y. This is actually the 4680 version of the Model Y. that came out of Austin. Now it's
So,
pretty
so
good
Harold,
to,
just make mention for those that are looking at this for the first time that those two holes that you've circled there, those are the protrusions for the steering column. So
oh
obviously
yes,
one,
sorry, yes.
yeah.
So this here is the steering column. These two here are for steering columns, and these two holes penetrations are for your brake and accelerator assembly, basically. So this now the thing to note about this torn down car is that Austin, to the best of my knowledge, does not make right hand drive cars for anywhere in the world, but in their wisdom they have got a symmetrical bulkhead. Now contrast that with this image to the right, which is of the plaid Model S, the refreshed plaid Model S that Munro and Associates also tore down. And you can see, obviously this is a reverse image, this is the other side of the car, but you can see the steering wheel column and the brake and accelerator package penetration on the left-hand side if you were sitting in the car. But notably absent is a symmetrical setup, which is different to the to the Y and the 3. Now, some people have sort of said, oh, well, obviously Tesla has previously had unsymmetrical bulkheads for the S and the X, and that's entirely true. And then they sort of criticized Tesla saying, well, why don't you just do the same thing? So the actual truth is that it's not actually the fact that there's a bulkhead that's not symmetrical that is the reason why the program was cancelled. But what happened was, because they made that choice at the time to not have a symmetrical bulkhead, it then caused them to design various other parts at the front of the vehicle that they didn't have in mind, which is something that's unusual for Tesla. They didn't have in mind the repercussions of not having that symmetrical bulkhead. In other words, there were certain components made that now get in the way of a right-hand drive arrangement. And the cost to alter those components, in Tesla's wisdom, has been deemed to be too high. So it's not the bulkhead itself or the cost of the bulkhead, it's the consequential trickle-down effects that not having a symmetrical bulkhead at the time has led them to make suboptimal decisions that are difficult to unscramble now. Having said that, the disappointment is that there were and are more outstanding orders for S and X than the entirety of the S and X fleet in Australia. So it's sort of disappointing, and that makes perfect sense, because if you think about back in the September quarter of last year, there were 3,000 Teslas in Western Australia. At the end of the December quarter, there were 4,000. Tesla's entire fleet grew by 33% in one quarter. So it's obviously makes sense that they would have had more back-ordered S's and X's on their books than the entire S and X fleet in Australia. And of course, a similar thing follows for the UK and other markets. Now, obviously what Tesla did, and I'm sure that anyone who's interested in this has seen that they have basically offered the S and X in the UK and Japan in left-hand drive configuration, because those two countries permit it. But obviously Australia in its wisdom does not permit new cars to be sold in left-hand drive configuration. And yeah, it's very disappointing. Basically Tesla has unfortunately abandoned the 7-seat SUV category and a category of car that can tow 2.25 tons. So as we speak today, there is no vehicle being imported into Australia that can do that. And the Model S, again, is a larger premium sedan, and that market now has been vacated. And these are two of the world's safest cars. So again, unfortunately, Australia and other right-hand drive markets have been deprived of two of the safest cars. And dare I say, probably more profitable cars as well. So there it is. It's suboptimal. Now, something that I think I might have tweeted out is, or actually the club did, is we need to keep all eyes, because quite a few of us have got Cybertruck reservations.
Mm.
The thing to do is when Sandy, not if, but when Sandy Munro pulls apart a Cybertruck, if we see something like this on the left-hand side, it's happy days. You know for certain we're going to get the Cybertruck. If you see something like this on the first Cybertruck that's pulled down, then we rightly ought to start worrying. And I guess that's about as far as the speculation can go and should go. Of course, we know nothing about the Roadster. To be perfectly honest, I don't really care, but perhaps others do. So anyway, that's the passing of an era, really. The S and X were the halo cars of Tesla. Elon Musk described the Model X as the Fabergé egg of cars, and it really was. And it's a shame that at this stage, Tesla have decided to axe that project. Perhaps a little bit later on in the program, we might go through a couple of conspiracy theories about what might actually be happening or what may end up happening, but we'll leave that for the rest of the program. Alrighty, has anyone got any questions or comments about anything else?
I heard that back to that one, Harold, that the new front motor and inverter is different to the old one, and they just couldn't fit the steering column past it, but that may not be the case.
Yeah, that's entirely plausible. Look, and one way that can be resolved, and we know it's been done, I think it was Lexus has done a steer-by-wire.
Yeah.
So if you do a steer-by-wire arrangement, which is basically you have effectively a steering wheel position sensor, which actually Teslas already have, and a force feedback actuator. You then only have an electronic signal going to a modified steering rack, and it basically means there is no direct linkage. That being the case, then you could easily go back to right-hand drive versions of the car.
And you could put a
For
yoke.
S and-
You could put a yoke in that would actually work.
Precisely. So for anyone, I think it's Engineerix. I've got to check the YouTube video. Actually, James might have that for me, but there was a great video showing the Lexus with the steer-by-wire, and it's awesome. It really is, because you can have variable turning ratio. So when you're doing parking, you can turn the wheel just a little bit, and it'll turn the steering wheel a little bit, and it'll turn the actual wheels a lot. But when you're on a highway, it'll turn it much less. So it's sort of ideal thing of both worlds. And I think James has actually done it for me already, so I'll just check that. But yeah, it's actually a great video. If this link will work. And
There is
yes,
absolute-
it is engineering explained. Sorry, and apologies for that rather annoying Canadian accent. With all due respect to Canadians, I think that's what it is. And there it is. There, it's how Lexus fixed Tesla's bad idea: steer-by-wire yoke. So do have a look at Engineering Explained, and subscribe, because he's only got 3.51 million subscribers, and he could always do a 3.52 million. But that would fix it, Richard, absolutely. And that's something that may happen in the future. And that would be a good thing, because it would actually make the yoke a lot more usable. Alrighty, has anyone else got any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have, if you don't mind, Harold.
Yes,
Haven't
Barry.
been on for a while.
Welcome back. We've missed you already.
Yeah, very early mornings have prevented late nights on here, but there you go. I've got my annual competition up at Geraldton coming up the June long weekend, and decided to fit a tow barn, and I'm towing a mate's camper trailer. The original plan was I would have it all in place and do some test runs, but very long story. First one got lost in the post. The second one arrived in only part of it, and then the next order contained only part of the parts that were missing. Yeah, on and on and on. Finally, it's finished today, so I got no opportunity to try it out. So I'm just wondering if anyone's got any real world figures for towing. So it's about 500 kilos. I've got the long range Model 3, which last time I went to Jurien Bay recharge, which I guess I will, but I'm suspecting I won't be able to get to Jurien Bay on a full charge.
How big is
Okay,
the
you
actual?
got a long range.
Not necessarily weight, but how aerodynamic is it? Because that's got more of a impact on your range than the weight usually.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it yet, Pete. This is the part of the problem of being delayed as much as I have. But it's pretty much a standard camper trailer, so it's
Okay. Yep.
not very high, but probably quite flat at the front.
Yeah, Steve Dax has got a camper trailer.
Yeah, and he's
it's
just
an
had his hand
A-frame.
up as well.
Oh, there you
Try-
are, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, to get a word in. Okay, Barry. My experiences are I pulled my camper trailer down to Bustleton from Safety Bay, 193 kilometres. I travelled at 80 kilometres an hour, which is okay on a dual lane road. And I consumed 288 watt hours per kilometre, about double of my
Yeah, it's
average of
double then.
150 watt hours per kilometre.
Yeah,
So when I got into Bustleton, I left home at 100%. I got there with 19%. Okay.
yeah.
And when I returned from Bustleton on the Tuesday, the weather was slightly more favourable, so I got home with 25%.
Okay.
Now that's 193 kilometres. I have a Model 3 long range.
Right, same as me. And you say you're at Safety Bay?
Yep.
Oh, ditto.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We've probably waved as we've driven past each other.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
There's a lot of very unsociable people in Safety Bay, so.
Well, we don't associate with those in Rockingham, do we?
Well, absolutely not. That's why it's Safety Bay, not Rockingham.
And Baldivis,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah,
So Barry, it's eminently doable. So it's all about speed.
So it's 270 up to Jurien Bay, so it sounds like it probably won't make it then.
You adjust your speed, be patient,
Okay.
and have a following wind.
Yeah, I'll put in an order for that.
Yep.
Okay.
And you've got Cervantes as a backup.
Can you actually use Cervantes? I was looking on PlugShare. I saw that you got Lancelin, but Cervantes appeared to be a.
And you can use obviously Lancelin as well. So Lancelin. The good thing about Lancelin is it'll give you about 100 kilometers of data. So you'll find out fairly quickly how you're going, and you can then plot.
Yeah.
It goes without saying, leave at 100%. It
Yes.
just goes without saying.
Yeah.
And go to Lancelin, but you've also got Cervantes as a backup, which I'm just going to bring
I
up.
thought you had to be a resident, or at
No.
least
No,
stay in the holiday park or wherever it is.
no. So the Pinnacles Edge Resort, and I'm just bringing it up. It's got a low score, but I'm thinking, no, it's got no problem. So the 13th of May, it's been reported as working.
Yeah.
Just be careful because that one does have a fairly low score. And it's also got a isolator switch about 1.5 meters above it. When you first look at it, if none of the lights are on, it's probably because the switch is off. You got to look up to see it. It's not immediately, Harold's circling it up there, but it's not immediately obvious when you look at the charger that there's an isolator just up there.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And also, Barry, travelling from Safety Bay, of course, you're going to lose 60 kilometres of range just getting up to Perth.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've got to disconnect because we don't have drive-throughs, so it is tedious from that point of view.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm gonna have to disconnect and shuffle it around to be charged. Yeah.
No,
And then
a tip,
um,
Barry, is if you disconnect, think about how you can lock your trailer so that someone else can't
Yeah.
just put it on their tow bar and take it with them, because
Yeah.
that way give you a lot more freedom and you won't have to stress the whole
Yeah.
time away from the car while it's charging.
Yeah, that is a worry for me because obviously I'm borrowing it from a guy who's only recently bought it and has actually never used it.
Right.
He hasn't had the opportunity, so yeah, that's a concern. I was
Well, in that
hoping
case,
to be able
hopefully,
to just park it somewhere near to where I'm charging and be able to watch it.
yeah, or you get the tow ball lock. So hopefully he's
Yeah.
bought one and you can take that with it. So if you are not where you can keep an eye on the trailer whilst
Yeah.
you're charging,
Yeah.
then having that in place would be a
Yeah.
means to stop it being easily stolen.
Yeah, it also doesn't have a ball.
Hmm.
It's the plastic block with the pin through. It was one of those.
Okay. Well,
So,
good fun.
yeah.
That makes it even easier to steal if someone's just got a ball, which they usually do. So that makes the prospect even less likely.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, cool. And so where I'm going is actually Greenough. So I'm planning to go to Greenough, drop the trailer off, go up to Geraldton to charge back up ready for the weekend and then heading home. Which of the chargers now is recommended in Geraldton? Is it the new one or the old top one?
No. Go straight to the WEV network charger at the multi-purpose facility. It's just, if you look on PlugShare, it's right here at the Foreshore Drive, or 31 Foreshore Drive. And the great thing is you've got 4 to choose from. I don't know if we've got an image of all 4. There we go. There are 4 here.
Oh,
and
excellent.
actually, yeah, and they are 150 kilowatt maximum capacity.
Oh, okay.
And work extraordinarily well.
Okay, excellent. All right, thanks. And obviously, I won't have the trailer then, so that'll be easy to
It'll be easy
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about, as was mentioned before, it's all about speed. So if you've got frontal drag, if you reduce your speed, the weight is much less of an issue. There is obviously rolling resistance and all that sort of thing, but really it's about speed.
Yeah. Well, I was planning on trying to stick to 90 maximum. So.
And get the runs on the board. So like I said, you'll know by the time you've gotten towards Lancelin how you're going and how you're projecting.
Yeah. So does the range prediction work on current usage then?
Well, you'll see that it'll basically create pretty much a straight line going downwards, and you can then just project that even yourself.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But it does actually project. It does take into consideration what the environment is, and obviously the caravan is part of that environment or becomes part of that environment.
Yeah, Barry, I found that after about 60 kilometres, it had basically recalibrated to take into account the extra resistance and the speed I was traveling at, or how slow I was traveling. So yeah, you're watching, it says you get home with 55%, then 50%, then 45%, and you just watch it gradually until it settles at what it is. And so it's about 60 kilometres, so you got a bit of time to get worried.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. I'll report back.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, please do, and good luck with it. But look, there'll be no issues. You'll make it fine.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys.
No worries. Alrighty. Anyone else got any other questions or comments?
Yeah, George. Yeah, I've got a question in the same region, but not towing. Has anybody been up to Malawa? I'm not sure if the pronunciation is right.
Malawa.
Malawa. Okay, just 100 kilometers east of Geraldton.
Yeah.
I'm planning to go there, and I was thinking of possibly, following the inland route, and Three Springs could be a stopover. And I thought of leaving Friday evening, and then I'll sleep over in Three Springs. Has anybody done that trip? But I gather if I want to come back home in one go, I'll have to stop at Jurien Bay. And
When I was 17, but that was a couple of months ago.
so, yeah, when you were 17.
Yeah, I worked at Pindar, which is 20 miles east of Mullawa. It was a great adventure, but that was a long
okay.
time ago.
Yep.
That was well before colour television, wasn't it, Pete? I mean, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. It was well
That was
before electricity.
before black and white.
Yeah.
Before black and white, there you go.
Literally, Pindar wasn't on the grid. It had its own diesel generators. So, and no run. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Televisions used to work with paraffin.
Again,
I think televisions worked with paraffin then.
paraffin, yeah. Or a couple of trained mice.
There you go.
Is Rob Dean connected? Because he's been just about everywhere in West Australia.
No.
No, he's not, unfortunately. So,
Okay. And another
sorry, I'm
question,
not. You said Three Springs. Sorry, on this map, is that past Yalgoo?
it's further south, just
Panama.
North
you've got
Panama.
it at the bottom of your screen. Three Springs, just above the
Yeah,
lake.
just North
Gotcha. So
Panama.
how are you going to get from Mullawa to Three
can.
Springs?
There is a road.
There is a
Oh,
road.
okay.
Through
Oh, there's a
Tarn.
road. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
through Arden and yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have Google Maps to do it right now, but
Yeah.
you basically at Mullawa there is a caravan park, and that has, it depends. Are you doing this all in one day, or are you overnighting at Mullawa? What are you doing?
I'm staying over in Mullawa, and
Oh, okay. So at the caravan park there is there are obviously 15 amp sockets, as you can see here, caravan main sockets, as well as just the ordinary 10 amp wall socket. So either of those will get you a minimum of 120 kilometers of range overnight.
yeah,
So you just have to plot out, you obviously leave Geraldton fully charged and just plot out how far it is to Mullawa. I just don't have
30
the,
miles.
okay, so let's call that 140 kilometers
120.
and a bit.
hmm
And then you've got similar going down, so let's call that 300 kilometres to Mininu. Mininu has a 3-phase outlet at the Sports Oval. So what you do, anytime you want to plan an EV trip, is just get the intervals between all the locations and also plot out where you know there is charging. So you can see on PlugShare, I've actually enabled the 6 plugs. So at Mininu, at the Sports Oval, I think that is a 20 amp off the top of my head. Yes, it's a 20 amp, so you'll need a 20 amp adapter. And at Three Springs Community Hall, that's a 32 amp.
yeah,
32
yeah.
amp.
I saw that.
So-
I actually cannot see Mullawa on my PlugShare. Is that because of my settings that I've got?
Yes, because Mullawa is only 15 amps. So what you
15
do in your
amps, yeah.
settings on your plug is go for wall,
Yep.
which is the 10 amps, and you also have to go for show incompatible plugs, and you go caravan main socket, and that will then show everything that you can possibly use pretty much. Obviously the 3-phase, you need to have something like a cons adapter or the 3-phase tail.
That, yeah.
But the warning is at Mininu, it's sorry, is it Mullawa? No, at Mininu, it's at the Sports Oval, it's a 20 amp plug.
Yeah.
So that's important, and that won't fit your 32.
No, right.
But where are you staying overnight?
No, I thought of staying Three Springs overnight Friday on my way, and then I'll head off early in the morning, but then I'll stay one night in Mullawa as well. But coming back in one go, I think the best would be to stop at Jurien Bay, where we've at least got the 40 kilowatt charger, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get a spot there.
In what sense?
Well, I don't know. Do you have to book it? I know.
No, you can't book it. So it's being fairly well used at the moment. When are you going? Are you going in school holidays, or are you going soon, or
long weekend? Weekend
oh,
off.
okay. Well,
Oof.
yes. Unfortunately, it may take a little bit of time. So
Yes.
yeah, a lot of people are going to be using it. Sadly, and we're going to hear a little bit later from Sandra Giri at Synergy as far as progress is concerned. but it's actually no secret that I think it was the Shire of Gin has put out a Facebook post about, no, what's the other one? For Jurien Bay.
No, it was Shire of Gingin about Lancelin.
Oh, okay, cool. So they've put out a Facebook post saying there is going to be a delay in the energisation of the charger that's already been installed by Synergy at Jurien Bay. So
Lancelin. The message was for Lancelin today.
there were two messages, Ant.
Yes.
There were two posts by two different local government authorities. So one was to do with the Lancelin installation, and another separate Facebook post by a separate LGA was to do with Jurien Bay.
Dan Darrigan?
That'll do? Probably, yes. So there's both of those locations are delayed, which is, it goes without saying, is suboptimal. And on a,
I suppose it helps the guy in Jurien Bay to get some money back on his investment on his charger that he installed.
yes and no, because he didn't install it and it's not his charger. But that's another story which will probably best left out of this forum. But suffice to say that Jurien Bay is going to be busy.
Yeah.
And it's suboptimal. If I recall correctly from those two posts from those local government authorities, the implication is that the next school holidays will not have fast DC charging between Perth and Geraldton.
What's going on? Why is it still taking so bloody long?
There was a decision made at the start of the government's intention to fund this, what is now called the WEV network. The government decided to have 3 proponents in this network. No, sorry, 2 proponents. It was Horizon Power for everything that was outside of the Southwest Interconnected System, and Synergy, who were tasked with doing everything within the Southwest Interconnected network. Obviously, Synergy, as we all know, are a generator. They generate electricity and they also retail electricity. The corporate body that actually controls the poles and wires and transformers that circulate that electricity is Western Power. So, sorry, Peter, you're showing us.
Just putting up that Shire of Gingin post, that's all.
Right, okay. Do we have the actual line that says 3 or 4 months? There you go, 3 to 4 months, which obviously coincide or does not coincide with the next school holidays. So there it is. Cool, thanks, Pete. So anyway, back to where I was. The decision was made not to include Western Power as one of the project deliverers. So clearly Synergy has zero influence or anything to do with, has nothing to do with Western Power. Yeah. So as anyone can notice, if you drive to Lancelin or Jurien Bay, the chargers are there. I think the Lancelin one's fitted as well, but there are no transformers. So that's a task that can only be done by the monopoly poles and wires provider, which is Western Power. So
who's the contact that we need to actually talk to at Western Power?
The person ultimately responsible for how Western Power performs is the minister, the Honourable Minister Bill Johnston, who coincidentally is also the minister responsible for how Synergy performs. So the one minister oversees both instrumentalities. So yes, absolutely. If Bill Johnston is your local member, by all means have an appointment with him and encourage him warmly to encourage Western Power to get these transformers in so that the his fellow minister responsible for tourism can see lots of EVs going to Kalbarri and further north with a lot more ease than they otherwise will for the next 3 to 4 months.
Well, as a minister, we can all contact him. So I will.
Yes, we can, but it's also you can only contact the ministerial office and not his actual what do you call it, local office. So at the local office, if you are a local member, then you can actually book an appointment to see him. You're basically entitled to do that as a constituent. But if you want to see a minister, that's a separate issue. But anyway, that's what it is. And like I said, it goes about saying that Synergy, we all know Synergy will and always does do the very best they can.
Yeah, they've been.
Admittedly, the whole project isn't due to be fully finished, at least for most of it, until Q1 next year. But
they're not going to make it.
Oh no, they'll make it. It's just that we're going to have some gaps in the meantime. Yeah.
Not at this speed.
So how we're spending 24 million, is that right?
24.
Yes. $24 million to deliver 98 charges at 49 locations. It's a screaming bargain.
Yeah.
And you know, if the state government was serious about accelerating the advent of sustainable transport, as Tesla is, then they would possibly have put in more than $24 million and had a project that would have been implemented possibly quicker and much better. So, for example, we have the Great Northern Highway, which is a gaping hole in this network, which would cost less than $5 million to fill. And again, you know, if anyone wants to talk to the responsible minister, or even the Minister for Transport, Rita Saffioti, or the Minister for Tourism, perhaps. I think that's Peter Cook, because I'm sure Peter Cook would like to see lots of EVs go to Karijini National Park. And one great way to do that is through the Great Northern Highway, particularly since you can then do a loop. You can go on the Northwest Coastal Highway and patronise those towns on the coast. Then you can come inland from, say, Karratha or wherever, Port Hedland, go down to Karijini and then do a loop, so you always see something different, and patronise the towns such as Meekatharra and others. And that would be a great thing for tourism and the environment for a mere $5 million.
They're paying 24 million for the whole EV network, but they paid $11 million for an English act to come here and play. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Puts it in context.
That's right.
Contact that.
So there you go. All right, and like I said, we look forward to Sandra Giri giving us an update on the said WAEV network as soon as she becomes available shortly.
And
so,
I saw
a
thing on Fully Charged. They were talking about in England that the government's going to fund 40,000 fast chargers. They put billions of pounds into it now. I think it's $6 billion.
If Mark McGowan liked electric vehicles,
and I was just like, why the hell can't they do? It doesn't even need to be that much, but bloody hell, they can. If the English can do it, why the hell can't we do it?
Well, by $100 million, if the West Australian government invested that, you would have 200 fast DC charger locations.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ant's got his hand up.
Oh, yes, go Ant. Oh, yes, go Ant.
So I just wanted to give a quick update, and it's a little bit of a segue from the issues that Western Power are giving on the West Australian EV network. Just an update on the Ravensthorpe charger, which is part of our essentially our link to Esperance from Perth. We've been having a bit of trouble with the charger, in the sense that the overhead line to the charger is underrated for the power that it was putting out, which it was inadvertently doing. So it was charging it at roughly 50 kilowatt on a essentially a 32 amp line. And the circuit breaker, Western Power told the local Sparky to downgrade the circuit breaker. This was caused because Tritium had done an update on the charger, which was previously throttled to 20 kilowatt, and the charger went up to 50 kilowatt, and everybody is very happy. They thought that the application for 80 amp supply had gone through and the lines were upgraded, but it wasn't. So you had a charger charging off much thinner lines. Anyway, the upshot of it all is that there's now a lower rated circuit breaker in the board, and essentially it's impossible to charge on that charger, because if you try, it's going to trip the breaker. Now, we've had some great support from some Tesla drivers going through there, Richard Ramshaw and somebody else called Snowflake, whose name I actually don't know, but communicated with him over PlugShare, and who have given us feedback on the charger. We've been in touch with ChargeFox, who essentially don't have the ability to throttle the Tritium charger anymore. Only Tritium do, and they are pretty useless in terms of communication. So throttling the charger, we've had to go back to Gemtech to ask them to talk to Tritium to get the charger throttled, and that will be happening in the next few days. All things going well. Also, ChargeFox will be able to make the charger unavailable in the app, so that nobody trips the breaker on the way through, and making it unavailable to be communicated with, and therefore to throttle it and impossible to use anyway. So that's just an update on that. Hopefully by next week we'll have a throttled charger to use on the way to Esperance, because the problem is that Ravensthorpe is a key point on the way through to Esperance. So if anybody's heading to Esperance, be aware that you've got essentially a broken charger on the way through. The caravan park has 2 destination chargers, one of which is broken. So you've essentially got 1 destination charger at a caravan park, which can be used as a backup.
So I note, Ant, that on ChargeFox's app, it's still available. Is that going to change?
Yes.
Oh,
It
okay,
must be
cool.
by tomorrow.
And-
I mean, I was just speaking to them today, and they said they would do it today, but
Yeah, time slip. So they're saying that they can't change the Tritium's power output via OCPP.
no, they don't have the ability to. Apparently, it's done via the Tritium control panel, and only Tritium can do it, or one of their appointed representative or technical conduits, as it were. I mean, we have talked to ChargeFox and had them adjust it before, when we installed it.
Indeed. Yeah.
And at other times. So this is new, and it's not particularly convenient. And the delays and non-replies from Tritium and ChargeFox, for that matter, have been responsible for it being out of action essentially for 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
that's just an update on that.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ant. Appreciate it. It's no doubt disappointing, and there's nothing worse than going to a charger, starting a charge, and have it literally die.
Yeah, I might add one more thing. Again, a very reliable and good Tesla driver, Carl Razik, who lives down that way and who uses that charger regularly. He first found out that it was tripping, and that the electrician had, in conjunction with Western Power, had put in the 32 amp circuit breaker. We weren't told. Anyway, Carl has also found us another electrician who will be able to help us with the application to get the supply upgraded, and so that's big, because the electrician in the town, pretty much the only electrician in the town, is refusing to do anything to do with the charger, except for that, you know, downgrading it at Western Power's behest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look,
Different
he's
drivers,
got a
different-
business to run, and you know, it's not his core business to do things for the EV community, nor should it be. But yeah,
Yeah, he's
don't forget this is being recorded, Ant, and it's going to YouTube. So let's just be cautious about discussing individuals.
okay.
Just saying, we don't want to besmirch anyone. Like I said, everyone's got their own businesses, and they're entitled to pick and choose work as they please.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, it's disappointing. And it's funny because I heard a slightly different story about how the power got upgraded. Because bear in mind, remember that the boundary fuses must have been upgraded by someone.
Yes.
Because I think I wasn't there actually, but I think you certainly were when the said boundary fuse popped. So I think there's a bit of there's a couple of other layers of things that have gone on at that location that are sort of interesting, but perhaps best spoken of offline.
It's difficult to determine exactly where and when things happened. We got notice that it was upgraded.
Yes.
And thought everything was upgraded, including the overhead line, but the overhead line looked very much the same. So, yeah.
Yeah. Disappointing. I mean, the good news is that, you know, before the end of this year, the WAV network will come to Ravensthorpe.
Yeah.
So there will be a 150 kilowatt dual output chem power unit with an AC backup at Ravensthorpe.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year.
It's great.
We can't wait till that happens. Honestly, it's
Too right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, Ant. Now, sorry, James, you've been very patiently, or not, I wouldn't blame you if you weren't, very patiently have your hand up.
Clean that garage up.
No, it's always good. Always good to listen to that. No, just going back to the trip to Geraldton. If you trip to Mullawa, does he want to go up the middle for any reason, like looking at wildflowers? Because if you go up via Geraldton, it's only half an hour longer, but you'll save hours in charging.
There you go. Okay.
I put the pictures in the chat, but obviously if he needs to go to specific places. The other one was interesting. We're talking about the politicians. Found the article that said they've got free charging at the Parliament House.
Oh, maybe the whole group, we should go there.
Yeah.
Like drop 100 cars out there to charge. Just go, oh, sorry, we can't. We have to all charge. It's going to take a while.
You've got to fully charge to make it up to Geraldton because we can't charge at Jurien Bay or Lancelin.
Yeah. I think that'd make a statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark McGowan needs to drive an EV, that's all.
We should put the Parliament House ones on plug share, and then they'll have heaps of people turning up.
Yes. So what is actually at Parliament House? Do you know, James?
Oh, he's gone mute.
He's
muted.
Sorry.
Muted.
I'm trying to find out now. There doesn't seem just information about there is charging, and it seems to be multiple charging. I'll find out.
Yeah, no worries.
I know something that works.
I don't think Pete Tross is going to make it through the night. But Harold, he's looking really run down.
Maybe you need to pre-record his bye-bye.
He's not looking good.
Yeah, we've almost.
Don't ask him to do the speech at the end of the night, Howard. He'll probably just go, "Oh, just go to bed." You know, just too tired.
Look, I don't blame him. I've had a rather long couple of days too, but never mind. It's all worth it. Alrighty. Any other
hand up? Abid.
Oh yes, Abid.
Hi Harold, hi guys and ladies. Quick question. In the news, you mentioned something about Bluetooth and phone key, and I've been having issues the last 2 or 3 days with my wife complaining the phone doesn't work again. Luckily, she had her card with her. So what's the go there?
Okay, that's a new security feature that Tesla have implemented with the version of software that I read out in the news, which I don't no longer remember. But there is a setting under security and drivers. So I'll just spotlight myself to bring it up. And that's passive authentication. So what that means is that if your phone is in Bluetooth range, or at least the secure Bluetooth range, it will then actually automatically open the car, unlock it, and also allow you to drive. So if, for example, you are at a caravan park, perhaps with your caravan, and obviously your phone is very close to your car, your car may therefore not actually lock, or it may be locked and you sort of move from the back of the van to the front of the van, and then it suddenly unlocks and basically allows someone to hop in the car and drive off. So what toggling that button does, turning it off, means that you actually have to actively open the car, whether that's with a card key or actually telling the car through the app to unlock with your phone consciously, as opposed to automatically.
Okay.
So but that's not going to address the issue that your partner's had. I think the common consensus, depending on which device you have, is to ensure that your Tesla app is active, because sometimes you might close your Tesla app, and it seems that having it open and active does assist with Bluetooth. But I think, some iPhones are a little bit conservative as far as power usage is concerned, and may sort of cause the Tesla app to become inactive, and it's just a matter of clicking on it to bring it to the foreground of your apps, and it then sort of magically works. So
And where was that setting? That was on an iPhone, but
it's under drivers and security and drivers.
Okay, right. Because I've got an Android and it doesn't seem to come up. I mean,
It's on the Android as well.
You'll have to update your app.
Okay.
So it's in the latest version of the app.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give that a go. Yeah. Thank you. Good
Awesome.
news.
Now I've just noticed. Sorry. Sorry. A bit. You go. If you've got another quick question, that's cool.
No, that's good. That's good.
Oh, okay. No worries. Thank you. I've just noticed that Sandra Giri, who is the discovery and design practitioner, I think, at Synergy, and thank you, Sandra, for not helping me. But she has joined the group, and I'd like to invite her to give us the latest update on the status of the WA EV network.
Thanks, Harold. We will get it one day.
Design and discovery practitioner. I think that's right.
That's right. Yeah. Even
Sandra,
me,
that was just cruel. You just let him you just sat there in silence and let him suffer.
Mate, don't believe me. I had so much dad joke over the last 2 weeks. I can let him suffer longer.
I must admit, I did deserve it. So,
thank you,
given what Sandra has gone through over the last few days. But yes, Sandra, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, some good news. I'm sure most of you have seen. The good news is that Menjimup, Albany, and Williams are now live. They have been commissioned last week, and yeah, they are up and running. Albany has a bit of a delay just because the of Albany wanted to finish the footprint, and so it was a bit unsafe to open the whole site, but the chargers were operational, so that's why some of you have removed the gate and charged, even though it was not fully open to public yet. But now it's all good to go, and it's all safe, and everything is good. Yeah, we have 3 new green on our map, so 17 to go for Synergy at least. And Broome is green. However, I know that they are still doing some testing. I heard not later than yesterday that they are doing some testing, and some things are not really working yet with ChargeFox. However, the good news is that they are doing the official launch on the 7th of June for Broome. So whoever feel like going to Broome, you're more than welcome to join Horizon Power for their official launch on the 7th of June. And yeah, so I believe that it will become green, but I'm not sure if they will put it live before. I think they want to do several trial and testing before the 7th of June. So it will probably not go on ChargeFox and being operational before the launch. It's a good segue, actually, if you let me, Harold, say it. But next week, Harold will have a special guest. We will have someone from Horizon Power that will come along with me to provide an update on the project. It's a long time due, since a lot of you have asked me a lot of questions on Horizon Power, and that's been a long time since we want to share the news together, Synergy and Horizon Power. So it's happening. So next week, Anthony Martin from Horizon Power will join me to provide an update. So if you have any question for Horizon Power, please prepare your question, and yeah, and come next week and ask all your questions. We would be more than happy to answer everything we can.
That's awesome news.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Finally, to have them along, you know, it will be great, because even me, I have some questions. So that will be really, really good. Good news as well is that we started the construction in Coolgardie this week. So we were on the site on Monday, Tuesday, or maybe both. Anyway, one way and the other. So yeah, and they just started to like put the fence up, and they're gonna start to do the work, the civil works. So that's very good news as well. Southern Cross has already the transformer in place. Amazing. And Synergy is starting the civil works in Southern Cross at the beginning of June, I think in a week or February. And Kings Park is starting civil works next week. So a lot of things happening. We are not yeah, becoming too much lazy after these big weeks coming up. And I guess the next sites that will start construction late June will be Ravensthorpe and Banbury. So it's a work in progress. Obviously, nothing happened in 2 days, but we're getting there, and we're still aiming for Q1 2024. So yeah, we still have a few months to go to be able to do these 17 sites left. And a bit of less good news, unfortunately. And we are still trying to push with Western Power, but so far, and maybe you have seen it in the news today as well, so far, unfortunately, we have been confirmed that Joyan Bay and Lanslin won't be powered before August. So even though you can see the chargers, and apologies, because maybe a lot of you like me get very excited by seeing the chargers and all the civil work done by Synergy. However, the transformer are not there yet, and Western Power won't be able, seems like it, to energize or put the transformer in before August. So Lanslin and Joyan Bay are delayed until August. Unfortunately, won't be available for the school holidays. So maybe for next school holidays in September. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that's it for me.
Is it just availability of the transformers, or they other work priorities? What's the excuse that Western Power is offering?
Well, depends which one I'm choosing, but I think it's mainly the shortage of staff, and they follow a certain process, and it seems that they didn't see the rollout planning the same way as us, so they have work on some other sites that was not the same priority as us. So it seems that they have worked on some sites that were not really in our top list and haven't worked. And there is 3 months period between the times they receive a certain document and the times they can put contractor and tender and choose the contractor. So
in other words, there's not much will there. Their reputation's starting to precede them, I think, at this stage, but that's a shame.
I know, tell me about it. No, because now we have our chargers on the ground as well. So, you know, that means that for at least more than 3 months, once again, we will have chargers out and, you know, just doing nothing. So they can be damaged, they can, you know, take the rain, and they're just, yeah. So yeah, is that the way it is? Look, we have escalated it to higher level management and things like that. And we are crossing our fingers, but it doesn't seem so far. It doesn't seem that it will happen before August. So I just want to make sure that you EV drivers know about it so that you don't have high expectations, because I have seen quite a few posts on social media saying, look, in 2 weeks it will be energized, awesome, you know, it will be awesome for school holidays to go up north. Well, I don't want you to think that you can rely on this, because it will probably not happen. So yeah. So
Yeah,
just wait.
just anyone that is thinking about going to Broome on the 7th 7th
Yes.
of June, there is one big moat, and that is namely the Pardue Roadhouse. So if you go to the main roads travel map, as you can see there, it is still closed. Now, sadly, the next roadhouse which you would get some charge from would be Sandfire, and choosing words carefully, Sandfire aren't particularly positively oriented towards EVs charging at that location. So it makes it extraordinarily difficult to avoid, or not be able to use Pardue and not be able to use Sandfire. So I dare say it's going to be difficult for anyone from Perth to get to Broome in an EV.
I'll just add, Harold, of course, that Sandfire over the school holidays in the cooler months is going to be even busier at that caravan park. So he's not going to share his electricity and take it away from his main paying customers.
That's
Absolutely.
And,
So-
and he won't even let you charge there, even if you're staying overnight. You just, yeah.
Ever
Have to
since
charge
Richard
there, Pete,
Chapman-
but he's very reluctant.
Mainly because ever since Richard Chapman stayed there, it's gone down. Majorly because of that.
So
I
unfortunately,
was very, very nice to them, and it was there was a lot of toing and froing, and eventually, you know, you get the it's broken. No, it isn't. And I think weirdly, if I'm remembering the place rightly, I think it was fine for us to go and stay overnight and plug in on the 15 amp single phase, but not fine to charge 5 amp 3-phase straight off the genset or off the power. Anyway, something weird like that. But yeah, they will let you, I think, if you're paying and staying overnight. But yeah, if you're just going during the day, yeah, don't bank on it.
Yeah, don't bank on it. But Richard, I did charge on the way to Broome and back,
Oh, you
not as
did?
not as a customer. Asked them. I convinced him, and I showed him that we can throttle back on the
Yes,
Model
I had
3.
to do the same. Yeah.
And demonstrated to him, and he was happy. But also it was just in October, so the caravan park was almost empty. So I wasn't competing with his other customers.
Yeah.
And made the donation to the RFDS, and he was very happy with that. And so when I returned in the other direction, he was quite supportive. But it did take a lot of discussing and reassuring.
I think we were the
Harold's point
same.
is don't rely on it.
And it's rather stressful. I've had to do similar things at one or two other locations, and there is nothing more stressful than knowing you really, really need to charge, and there really is nowhere else to charge. And these are people that own this equipment. We have zero right to it, and they are entitled to just say no. And that becomes extraordinarily stressful. But look, the great thing is we've got Anthony Martin from Horizon Power on the show next week. And as we know, Pardue is one of the locations, and I'm not sure about Sandfire. I think it might actually be 80 Mile Beach, but there will be another location between between Pardue and Broome. So perhaps that's a question on notice for next week for Anthony, that to see how that rollout's going in that region.
When I went to Broome, I spoke with Horizon people, and they were talking about installation Sandfire. So hopefully that's the case, but I don't have the WEV network at hand, so I can't check that.
I do, and oh yes, actually, I should have put this map up. So yes, we have Sandfire. There you go. So that'll be awesome. So, and excuse me, since you've got Port Hedland, look, Port Hedland to Pardue to Sandfire to Lagrange to Broome is just a doddle. It's so easy. It's just not funny. I think I myself actually went from Port Smith Caravan Park, which is only 70 k's outside of Broome, all the way to Pardue, and that was on a partially charged car.
Yep,
So
coming back from, I went from Sandfire directly to Port Hedland because Pardue was tedious.
Yes. So I
And
mean,
I did it the other way around. I went Pardue to what's the caravan park called?
Port Smith Caravan Park.
Yeah, I seem to forget that one purposefully.
Why is that so, Pete? Was it because you possibly blacked out the place?
might have had something to do with that.
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Out of my mind.
I was actually just checking my pictures from Sandfire, and I think we were pretty much forced to camp overnight on the way up. We actually stayed overnight and charged at Headland, skipped Pardue, charged at Sandfire and stayed over. But I think because we'd been good customers on the way up and camped, they let us have a room and then just charge off the 3-phase on the way back. And do the whole look. I'm throttling the charge down. So yeah, was possible.
Awesome. Oh well, thank you very much, Sandra. That's fantastic. And look, we really do look forward to seeing you and Anthony. That will be fantastic. You know, and suffice to say that will be a statewide WA EV Network special episode of Ask Us Anything next week, and it really is exciting.
I mean, are you going to do it in French, Sandra, or in French?
As usual. As
I think
per usual.
French just have subtitles underneath.
So moving right along. So has anyone got any questions? Any possibly last questions related to the WAEV network for Sandra?
Well, I think Sandra should test her negotiating skills with power. This is your Sandra. See how you go.
Good luck with that.
No, you got to remember. Don't forget, Western Power is entirely unrelated by definition to Synergy whatsoever.
We know that, but Sandra can push the Synergy link. Yeah. See how it does.
Sandra, I think you should get an Acron.
Sandra, can I ask if you have a date for Walpole?
We don't have a day for Walpole. We had few issues with Walpole because there is multiple point of supply. So it has been a bit more complicated, that plan. However, we are still aiming to have Walpole operational by the end of June.
Okay. It's been lots of work there this week. Lots of people.
We are still very actively working on it, but it has been a little bit delayed compared to what we planned. Because we just encountered some more complex situations. But we are very much working on it there, and I'm sure you have seen all the work that has been done already. And we keep pushing to have Walpole operational before the school holidays. That's the aim.
Every time I see a different car there, I get really excited.
Well, I didn't see you last week. I stopped in Walpole. I didn't see you. Next time I pass by, I'll give you a call. We can go.
Every morning I'm driving past there and checking it out.
I don't know what time it was though.
we were there in the afternoon on the way to Albany, so it was a bit late.
Yeah. Well, I will let you know if I get more information. But so far, we are trying to aim for end of June.
Yep, cool. Thank you.
So if there is no other question, feel free if there is other question. If there is no other question, please think of at all the questions you want to ask next week to Horizon Power, because who knows when will be next time they will be online. And if there is anything else, and apologies again for Lancelin and Joyan Bay. And if you talk with other EV drivers that don't look too much to social media, if you can also let them know, so that they don't rely on it particularly for the school holidays. Because the more we provide this information and the less deception, I guess, and disappointment it will be. So yeah, is there any other question or comment?
So, Sandra, is there a live approved map somewhere that actually shows the live status of any of the sites?
Like an overall map, you mean?
Look, no, I don't just mean like
there is one,
map.
Richard. There's one on the
well,
Synergy website.
No, but I mean like a lot. Is that live though? Like, does that show
Well,
which sites are
soon
active,
Yeah,
live and active?
when they are
Oh,
live,
it
they
does.
become green. Yeah, when they are live, they become
Okay.
green. And that's why I say careful, because Broome has been put in green.
Yeah.
However, it's not
I
accessible
guess
yet.
where I was going with that is if anyone's unsure, we could just send them the link to that page, and then
Yeah, but there is
that's the
also
oracle.
like, I guess the issue is that someone has created and often, and I know it comes from a good place, but often on plug shares, the sites are created by people.
Yeah.
And they get excited about things and they put pictures, and also because they want to be the first to pee on the tree, you know, which I understand. We all get very excited when we see things starting to happen. But unfortunately, this can also lead to some misunderstanding because, for example, Lansing is put as coming soon. And well, I don't consider 3 months as coming soon personally. That's why you won't see it on Chargefox. But that's why also it can, yeah, I think it can just mislead some people. And if they don't look at the Tokwa Facebook page, if they don't look at, you know, AVA, if they don't come at ask us anything, they won't know the status update, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's just, look, if you know some people that aim to get up there, please let them know and reiterate the fact that, sorry, but it's delayed for now. It's not happening until August.
Okay.
So that's the live map there, Richard.
Yeah. As long as we can
URL.
point people to that as the single source of truth, then
yeah.
Actually, there is actually, by definition, it's almost accurate, although technically it's not quite. There is a live map. Sorry, I've just got to get spotlight for everyone, and that's obviously Chargefox's app.
Chargefox, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say by definition, if the pin is available, so if we look at Albany, it actually says right now that there are 4 ports available. That's not always true because these ports were available the last few days since I think about Friday, although technically the site wasn't actually available until, sorry Sandra, is it available now? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah.
So on Chargefox it was written as operational. However, you had a message until this morning. You had a message that was stipulating that some works were still happening, but it was not works related to the chargers. So we couldn't really put it coming soon because then we had to redo the whole testing. So too hard. So we just put a message in Chargefox saying that there was some works they were just needed to remove all the fencing and some poles and so on that they put into place to finish the footpath that they did today. So yeah, we got the information this morning and straight away Chargefox removes the message. So yeah, you're right. Chargefox will be the source of truth because it won't be operational and you won't be able to pay the charger if it's not working and if it's not live.
Yeah.
So that's the source of truth. And if you have a doubt, look, you can always send me an email or give me a call. It's not that hard. It takes 2 minutes.
And just to highlight what Sandra was saying before about, for instance, Albany, you know, there were a few people, and I'm not going to name them, but they are on, you can see them on the screen there. And, you know, there are some people that decided that it was, well, they really needed
on
a
the
charge.
screen there. Like Harold,
It's on the
I'm
screen.
on the screen there.
So anyone can, yes. Oh, that's right. So there's a photo. Well, this is actually, that was taken the 18th of May, and that was part of the commissioning process. So there we have, sorry, Sandra, there's Ruth, I forget her surname.
And Kylie, yeah, Ruth March and Kylie Athwaite. So they are the 2 people from the city of Albany that worked for the last 2 years very hard to make this happening as well. And as you can see on the bottom of the charger, you can see we are in the grass/sand. And now the footpath is all the way, so it looks really nice. And yeah, they did a fantastic job because they created this whole car park. It's like a EV hub just for the WAV network. Then you will have the transformer, and then you will have the 6 bays for Tesla that are coming later this year. So yeah, so like you see, it was not looking completely finished. So that's why the Shire really wanted to finish it, and it was not safe. That's why they keep the fence up. It's just because it was not safe until this morning, until they remove all the poles and things like that, because they were finalizing the footpath. So that's why.
There you go.
Awesome.
Harold, will you be going to Broome, just flying up there, or
Nope.
are you gonna just send a cardboard cutout of yourself up there?
Yeah, probably an avatar, perhaps. Yeah, as a matter of fact, for my sins, I'm flying back from Melbourne on that same day. And to be honest, yes, I could have got a one-way ticket from Melbourne to Broome and another one-way ticket from Broome to Perth, but Tesla's not $1,000 a share yet, so I won't be doing it this year. But look, the great thing is there are actually at least two local Tesla owner or EV owners. One has a Model Y, the other one has a Model 3. One of the gentlemen is actually a Tokwa owner. Member. And so, there will be EVs up at Broome to rightly celebrate the opening of that great site and a great achievement for Horizon Power. It's just unfortunately, even some of us, Rob Dean, it's no secret that he'll be in Tom Price, I think it is on the 5th of June. So at any other point in time, with Pardue Roadhouse open and Sandfire Roadhouse more easily able to charge, Rob would absolutely have gone to Broome to help celebrate, but it's just a bit too difficult at the moment. And that's just the way it is at the moment. But, this time next year, probably all of the WAV network will be completed, and it's just going to be awesome.
Well, thanks for a fabulous update, Sandra. It's really appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. We might, if you like, we might let you go and do some real work, or some more important work. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Prepare your question. Prepare your question, people. See you next week. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra.
Dean, you've got your hand. Oh, sorry, I don't recall. I'm going to be a bad barman and go. I don't know whether it was Christian or Dean who got their hand up first, but okay, let's go, Dean. Oh, sorry. Okay, Dean, probably. Sorry. Please wait 2 moments. Christian, go.
Just really quickly, with these new fast chargers, I was wondering if there's a way that we could precondition the batteries to use quick charge at those locations. I remember you saying that trick is there was the UWA fast charger to set it to the Tesla fast charger, but then just drive to UWA and then it would have preconditioned. And I actually tried it out and it worked well. But how would you do it at Geraldton or any other locations where we don't have a Tesla fast charger close by? Is there any other trick?
Yes, but unfortunately, the trick is expensive, and it's not something that Tesla supports, and that is to buy a dongle at this stage. So, and that's the dongle, the only one I'm aware of, and full disclosure, I do have one, and that's called the Sexy Buttons. But that does cost some hundreds of dollars, and it is something that Tesla officially does not endorse.
Right. Okay. So there's no, even if you were to set it to, I guess that would also mess up your navigation. No.
So no, it won't work. So the precondition mode that is automatically invoked when you navigate to a supercharger is actually intelligent. So for example, if you are 200 kilometers from the supercharger and you're navigating towards it, it won't start preconditioning immediately. It'll start preconditioning at an appropriate distance, which it predicts will get to the correct temperature by the time you get there. Because otherwise, to precondition it prematurely would be wasteful of energy. So that's not going to work. Like I said, you could use something like a Sexy Button dongle, and I think there might be 1 or 2 other dongles out there that may do similar things. Look, it's not all doom and gloom. For example, in Europe, you can navigate to non-Tesla fast DC chargers via the navigation screen, via Like, so if you navigate from
Yeah.
Vienna to Innsbruck, it will navigate you on a route that includes non-Tesla superchargers, and it will actually, the car will precondition for those, for those non-superchargers, those other like Ionity and other groups. So what is plausible and possible that could happen in Australia is that same setup, which I believe the European data is actually amalgamated by a company called Eco Movement, and Tesla have an API which populates all of those fast charger locations into Tesla's map as if they were superchargers. And in that case, the car would actually precondition at the appropriate times if it needed it. So, for example, if the WIEV network was agglomerated by this organisation called Eco Movement, and if Tesla Australia and New Zealand decided to implement what the European version of Tesla does, then all of the WIEV network chargers would be on our touchscreens, just like they were superchargers. And if you navigated from Perth to Kununurra, it would show a string of pearls, just as it does if you navigate from Adelaide to Brisbane on the supercharger system. It would do it from Perth to well, you could go from Eucla to Kununurra, and it would follow the string of pearls of all the WIEV network chargers and precondition at any of those locations if it had to.
Question, how
Yes.
much difference does it make to your charging rate? I mean, oftentimes when I've supercharged, it's too quick. It's full before I finish my cup of coffee. So how much quicker is it if it's preconditioned to not?
So if I guess you guys are better to answer that, but I can tell you, like, if I go just to the 50 kilowatt charger at UWA right now, which is the only one that's available, it makes no difference whatsoever, because like 50 kilowatts is not really a problem for it. But for the when it was still available, the Siemens charger, it would take about a good 5-ish minutes to actually then ramp up to a sort of a more decent speed, at least with my Model 3, and depending on what percentage you're coming in with. So, I mean, if you consider a fast charger and you want to sort of also minimize the time that it stands there, like let's say we have a lot of people that want to use it, and keep in mind we only have very few fast chargers right now, and most of them are not even available. So just from that perspective, it would make sense to kind of maximize the time if you could. But yeah, it might just add another 5 to 10 minutes depending on how much you need.
That's right. And also, even at the 50 kilowatt charger, it does take more time because the car insists on putting its heating system on, which admittedly on the newer Model 3s, so the Shanghai Model 3s and all the Model Ys, is more efficient because it uses the heat pump, but it also does it uses about 7 kilowatts or 7.5 kilowatts of energy to heat the battery actively while it's charging, which means that rather than getting, say, 46, 47 kilowatts into your battery, you're actually only getting 40 kilowatts. And that's 20%. So that's significant. So hence why Christian was saying, it's 5 or 10 minutes, which you may say, well, so what? But it's all about throughput. You really want to get your car out of the way because someone else is invariably behind you, or someone else is in front of you and you want them to get out of the way. So having this European system on our screens is going to be a great outcome, because one of the things, and Pete went through the same thing I did, when you're navigating on the eastern seaboard beyond Tesla's superchargers, you then have to start doing things like looking up on PlugShare what all the ChargeFox or Queensland Super, what's it called? Queensland Electric Superhighway chargers, the Eureka chargers, where those locations are. You've got to look them up, enter them into your navigation system, sort of order them correctly, because sometimes they get jumbled in order. So you can have a contingency that if you get to one and it's occupied or not working, you may then go, oh, well, let's go to the next one. at least you'll know how far that is and if you can make it. But it's quite arduous to have to put in all these locations in the navigation screen, bearing in mind we've only just recently gotten multiple waypoints. Imagine how much nicer it is. You just navigate to somewhere 1,000 k's away, and all the fast DC chargers appear in the navigation, and it'll tell you how long you spend at each one.
And they're all be in order as well, and
all in correct order, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to mess around. So, so Christian, that's actually the let's call it the medium term solution to your question about preconditioning. Thankfully, Tesla has had a firmware update a couple of months ago. So for example, if you go to a 25 kilowatt or 22 kilowatt DC, I'm not going to call it fast, but a DC charger, such as at Curtin University, the ABB there at Curtin University, or at Balladonia and Madeira Pass roadhouses, what the car used to do, which was quite maddening, was it would spend 7.5 kilowatts out of the 22 kilowatts to heat the battery when it never needed to. And that's a third of the capacity. That was ridiculous. So, but what the car does, it no longer does that. So
that's good.
When it's let's call it a slow DC charger, thankfully it doesn't do it. But at the Tritium 50 kilowatt class chargers, it does. So
it still does. Okay. I wasn't actually quite sure about that. Okay. Yeah. So see, that's still sizable. It's more than 10%. It's not terrible. Then some of them have also like a timer. So for example, the UWA one, it allows you to charge for 35 minutes, and then you basically get sort of penalties if you stay longer than that. And so it makes sense to have penalties, but it's kind of wasteful if you then have to basically not be able to capitalize on that fully. And I think the easiest thing to do is for Tesla to also have plan B, where it's like you can just manually just preheat, if you wanted to. I think they hopefully will do that, because all the other, like Audi, all the BYD, all of them have this option. You can just activate it if you wanted to.
Absolutely. And the other thing they need to do, and I've mentioned this earlier, is please Tesla put in for people that have the long range cars with the NCA batteries or NMC batteries, which you only routinely ought to charge to 90%, please give us a charge boost button that says for the remainder of this charging period only, go to 100%. But when I finish charging, don't alter the actual slider. Just leave it at 90, but charge all the way to 100 and revert to the norm after that. Which would be
totally
awesome. Now, thanks, Christian. So I'll quickly, sorry, Dave, I'll go back to you. And if you can still remember your question, please do ask it.
Sorry, referring to me.
Oh, Dean, sorry, not Dave. Dean, apologies.
No, I didn't have a question. I was just using the applause reaction to thank Sandra for her update.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that. Oh, and I just see Charles has joined us from the future. And Charles, I'm not sure if you did you get, apologies, I didn't notice if you got Sandra's update.
No, I was late on today, so I
He's still celebrating because he's getting a football team.
Well, are we? Who knows? Who knows what's happening these days? Politicians crossing the floor and all this stuff. Anyway.
Oh, it's mayhem. There's blood on the streets of Tasmania.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to some good news, Chuck. That was that Williams, Manjimup, and Albany are now online. They are green pins. They are, as of today, they are all fully online. And you'll also see that you've got Broome, which it's going through the process of being commissioned. And it's not on ChargeFox's network yet, but there is an official opening on the 7th of June.
Is Broome on? So Broome is the first. Is that the first Horizon one?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is that going to be, what equipment's that one?
That's a Chempower 150.
Oh, same as others. Most of the others.
Oh yes. Yes. And in fact, I have an image of it. which I did get, and apologies if it might take me a moment or two to find it, but I might just do that a little bit later because it's going to look a bit silly if I try and look at it now. But yeah, so there are. It's very much been commissioned, but I think as Sandra mentioned a little while ago, there's just a couple of little things I need to tune with that location. But it is being officially opened on the 7th of June. One thing that's frustrating is there's several mad people like myself that would probably consider going up there, and the biggest issue at this stage is that Pardue, this is the main roads travel map. Unfortunately,
right.
frustratingly, it's only confined to Western Australia, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be great if it was a national map. But Pardue Roadhouse is still closed. And
because of the flooding?
No, the cyclone.
Oh, cyclone.
Most of Pardue, most of Pardue blew away, including, I distressingly hear, most of their solar system. Which I do know cost them a lot of money. So Pardue's out of action, and unfortunately Sandfire is not an ideal place to charge, so it's just not really practical or pleasant to take an EV north of, let's call it, Port Hedland at this stage, unless you go the other way.
The long way around.
That's a long way. And if I left now, I might just make it. But I could do that. No, anyway. So
or that guy who had the rollout printed solar panels. You could always do that, I suppose, as well, if you have a bit of time on your hands.
I am so going to bite my tongue, Chuck. I'm just going to bite my tongue on that one. I believe there's actually a great documentary that's come out about it too. So it sounds. I'd be very interested to see how that documentary went. Because it's a surprise to no one that out of the 20-odd thousand kilometres they travelled, they used to have a daily solar charging odometer.
All right.
And it never went. It's suffice to say it's not on their website anymore.
Yeah.
But I do have a screen capture, and it never went above. It had a 3 in front of it, and 2 other digits. That's also known as less than 400 kilometres on their rollout solar thing. Because I dare say they learnt. Oh yes, because I dare say they learnt pretty early that charging your car on a rollout solar panel is not a lot of fun. So I guess I dare say they adapted the purpose of their trip to be more of advocacy for solar in general and whatever. I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave it there. But what's exciting, Chuck, is that next week we are going to have a statewide Horizon Power / Synergy update, joint update of the WIEV network with Sandra Giry who is the design and discovery practitioner at Synergy, and Anthony Martin, who is with Horizon Power. So it'll be the first and unique opportunity for us to ask Horizon Power how their end of the rollout is going, which will be very exciting.
Yeah, lots of off-grid stuff, I reckon.
Oh yes, indeed. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Although to be fair, the major towns, obviously, your Carnarvon, your Port Hedland, Karratha, Halls Creek, Broome, Fitzroy Crossing, Warman, Kununurra, Norseman, Esperance, they are all grid-ish power, so they're really easy. But yes, the off-grid stuff is going to be more challenging, and I dare say it was probably going to occur later on in the rollout. But still, anything we can get. I've actually heard, speaking to some of the local government authorities, that interestingly, the NRMA have already been in touch with many of them.
Oh, okay. This is about the duplicate rollout.
And you took the words right out of my mouth. It was about the absolute duplication of that which is already going to be done, because that's the lowest hanging fruit. Yes. So they're planning that in earnest, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I went to Southern Cross and obviously looked all around Southern Cross to try and scope out where Tesla might put their supercharger in the next couple of years. And
Is
I
it one
don't
of
know if
those?
you've,
Is it one of those towns where there's pretty much no ideal place, or there's only one sort of ideal place? Is it one of those small towns?
Oh, it's got a really, really large main street. There's plenty of room for drive-through on each side.
yes. And actually, the Synergy site is really good. It's actually going to be a drive-through site on a one block of land, which is really good, actually. So if you've got a caravan on your way to, well, the eastern states for that matter, or Kalgoorlie, then Southern Cross has got an awesome site. It's an awesome
I am
site.
dreaming.
Sorry, James, you got your hand up.
I was just talking about preconditioning. If you arrived at a charger and there's somebody already there, could you use the schedule departure and have the preconditioning then? So at least when you get on the charger, it might speed it
No.
up a bit. Nope.
Oh, well, yeah, if you went on the AC charger.
Oh, does that only work when you're actually charging?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, yep.
Yep. But and to be honest, I don't know that the scheduled departure. Yes, yes, Tesla does mention it warms your battery.
Yeah.
I mean, because in North American, I mean, Tesla is a North American focused company.
Yep.
So any of their communications is based in North America on the presumption you're in North America, but it's also based on the presumption that the biggest issue is coldness, not hotness. And their wording is preheats your cabin and your battery. But I think it only preheats it to a lower level than it would need to be fast DC charged. Because, as we know, the car will scavenge heat from the battery because it's cheap heat.
What about if your non-Tesla charger happened to be on a private road or an autobahn? Would driving extremely fast heat your battery up?
Oh, yes. And Beyond Nyland actually does it. You do the old, you hammer it and back off, hammer it, back off, hammer it, back off. You do a sawtooth or a square wave, actually. So you just blip the throttle, go hard to the speed limit, ease off, reduce down to a safe speed, and then rinse and repeat. And that will actually heat your battery fairly quickly and fairly well, if you want to do that.
Carmen does that now, Harold.
Sorry?
Carmen does that now when she drives.
What's that?
Heats the battery effectively by blipping the throttle. That is an allegation, and she's not been found guilty of that. So,
no, not really.
no, she would not do that. No, she would not.
I wouldn't. Actually, I normally open the door and leave it open for a few minutes while I get myself ready, and it does itself.
Yes,
I think you've discovered the purpose of phantom braking.
Exactly, to heat your battery. Yes. So anyway, so that's the thing as far as heating a battery. Scheduled departure won't cut it, unfortunately. But anyway. But yeah, so yes, Tesla. Obviously Southern Cross is the winner. Oh, that reminds me, Rob Dean did ask me to actually make a point of this, and that is, let's do it live. This is actually good news. I'm no doubt, Chuck, you're more than aware of this, and that is the great outcome. And unless you know otherwise, Chuck, I think this is from a private individual, basically, and this is the Whyalla Veterinary Clinic.
Yeah, I was going to mention that one. I think it's the closest one to the west from the Eastern Network, I guess, isn't it?
It sure is. So if I just, it's the westernmost. Oops, let me just reset that, and if we just zoom out, and we get rid of that. It is, well, it's the westmost of the southern part anyway, because there is actually a fast DC charger in Darwin, which is pretty cool. I think it's an EV network charger, but this is basically the Whyalla Veterinary Clinic. Yep. And look, that's a great achievement. I believe it's a personal thing that the owner of that clinic has put in.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing something. It might have been on the on the Ludicrous Feed channel. I think it might have been a vet clinic who had already changed a lot of their fleet vehicles to EVs some time ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, something like
Gotcha.
that.
Now, for anyone interested in actually going eastwards or to the eastern states or westwards towards us, look, it's a little bit of a detour because you've got to go, you've got to turn right at Iron Knob to get to Whyalla and then go back to Lincoln Gap. And you may think, well, that's a bit of a detour, which it is, but it's all about time and motion. And the point is the rapidity of charging at Whyalla would actually offset, more than offset the additional driving time.
So you're saying it's good to turn left at the knob,
especially given that Port Augusta has got what, 3 kilowatts, I think, at the best place at Port Augusta.
No, there is actually, you can get 11 kilowatts at the Tesla destination charger, and it's just where this bridge is. If I can get my computer, which is unfortunately going really slow.
Pretty sure that one only did 3 kilowatts.
No, there's the Standpipe Hotel.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Standpipe Hotel, which is right on the coast. I mean, on the river. Sorry, but unfortunately,
maybe it was broken. Maybe it was broken when we went through, but it was not.
So, oh no, sorry, I take that back. Majestic Oasis Apartments.
Harold, go up to the left of that.
No, Standpipe was broken.
Can we look at the comments on that one?
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Because I'm pretty sure Sarah only got 3 out of that one.
Got a rating of 9, and it's both a 20 amp 3-phase. So Sarah's BYD is a single phase vehicle, so she would have gotten 20 amps single phase.
Harold,
yeah, but that's
just on that.
7.
Sorry, I'm in Adelaide at the moment because I didn't get my Model 3 for my trip to Adelaide in May. So hopefully it'll happen for October. But there's a ferry from Lucky Bay across to Wallaroo, just south of Whyalla. So it might be more effective. I haven't looked at all the figures, but it might be more effective to go from Whyalla down the coast to Lucky Bay and across on the ferry. It'll cost a couple more dollars, but it saves a heck of a lot of driving time.
Yeah, right. Sorry, where's it go down to?
There's I think it's a 22 kilowatt destination charger at Arno Bay, which is just south of Lucky Bay as well, just as another option.
Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point, Mark.
Just on the western shore.
And that sort of basically breaks up the trip and gives it, another flavour going on the ferry, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, correct. And I did that on the way over here. Stopped at all the charges I thought I might use in October, and it made for a very relaxing trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. But it's great. The RAA, the Royal Automotive Association of South Australia, we all got relatively optimistic that they would put fast DC chargers all the way to Border Village, but it seems that, Chuck, that's still the case, that's just not happening, is it?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I don't think they've said anywhere what they're going to install exactly, but there were the 4 or 5 locations which were still only AC, and that was 2 of the Nullarbor ones. There was 1 in the Cooper PD area and 1 on the route to Broken Hill, I think, something like that.
Yeah, which is just super disappointing. I mean, something that we are going to look forward to as soon as I get this little thing, this map open, is Tesla. Port Augusta has actually won one of the Eastern States competitions for a supercharger, and that is actually due to go in next year, if I read their post correctly. So we've got here, obviously, Southern Cross, which that is due in 2025, target opening 2025. And Port Augusta is actually due in 2024. So what we need to do...
That makes me think they were already planning it.
Yes, and it makes perfect sense because it opens up... Well, it opens up all of this area that really needs it. Unfortunately, you know, Clare is kind of in the wrong spot and should really be more up here, but that was for another circumstance. What we need to do as individuals and collectively is we need to somehow work out how to get a vote for something like Ceduna. And even though Ceduna is out of range of Port Augusta, so too is Southern Cross out of range, kind of, from Perth. But what Tesla likes to do is they're happy they're happy to backfill. So you'll often see, and I haven't got a timeline of all of these charges, but they're happy to fill in gaps because that's a good thing to do. But they're more reticent to actually extend a route, as you can see with Port Augusta. You know, that's Clare has been there for a very long time. In fact, probably about... Well, they opened that at the start of the big battery, and I think that was in 2017, I think. So they're reticent to extend a route, but they're happy to backfill. So what we need to do is if we can get a vote up for Ceduna, then they'll have to necessarily backfill somewhere in between. And the same here on the western side, we need to get a vote for something like Kalgoorlie or Coolgardie. So that means that then, if that gets up, we're slowly closing the gap, obviously, between the two. And then after that, we need to get a vote for, possibly Norseman or Baladonia or something, although that Baladonia is off grid. And that's where it becomes an issue. We do know that Tesla no longer make power packs. Because, for example, with the Synergy school community batteries, they are actually being installed with other technology that's not Tesla, because Tesla no longer sell power packs, which would have been ideal for a supercharger. So the only thing that Tesla makes, I think, is the Megapack, which is a bit big. But hey, they've got to start somewhere.
So Harold, just going back to the RAA, it seems like we'll be far more dependent on the NRMA rollout, which is what, one DC fast charger every 150 kilometers, and there is no duplication across the Nullarbor.
No, not on the South Australian side. No.
Yeah, I think in that case, the NRMA network would be your primary, and then the AC ones that RAA is installing would be your backups, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Problem is with the NRMA ones, they are 75 kilowatt, I believe. And for all intents and purposes, they've got one outlet because, yes, there are dual outlets, but the other outlet is a CHAdeMO, and not many Nissan Leafs will make it across the Nullarbor. And even at 150 kilometer intervals, at least the older ones won't. And Tesla have not yet brought out a CHAdeMO adapter for CCS. So
one of Ant's mates managed to get a Leaf all the way from Queensland to Perth.
Yeah, on the back of a car carrier. There's a truck.
He did pack a generator in the boot, which he didn't use, but he did. Yeah, he had some pretty slow legs, but he made it.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly a highway then, is it? So that's the issue.
No.
The federal government, the then opposition Labor Party made an election promise to provide a nationwide electric highway. And I think the promise actually did say an average interval of, or spacing of 150 kilometers. And I think they actually put the map out. So that's what we're going to get. And they were advised that CHAdeMO was necessary for all of the cars that are here already, and that one CHAdeMO and one CCS was what was required, and that's what the NRMA will install for the $39 million that they've been funded to do so.
I think I was talking to someone tonight about this who is probably in regular contact with NRMA about it, and I believe their format is going to be pretty similar to the ones in WA, such as at Geraldton, except instead of 4 CCS, it'll be 2 CCS. It'll be the CCS CHAdeMO. But that's good because it means the other side won't be in use, so you'll get the 150 kilowatts, in theory.
Yes, but if except we do know, and this is no secret, that the maximum current delivered by the Kempower units is 300 amps, and at the 380 odd volts that most packs are at, you top out at about 112, 113 kilowatts. So the limitation is not the power units of the Kempower DC converters.
It's not much less than a V2 supercharger.
Yes.
In practice.
So, but whereas if you have 2 Teslas charging simultaneously, we actually observed one car getting 68 kilowatts, which is not quite ideal, and the other one getting 69, which is almost perfect. And that at least is a bit more energy going into the 2 cars simultaneously. So, look, the other thing that might mess things up is it not true that the NRMA is still militantly insisting on providing fast DC charging for free for the time being?
Their current ones are, but I would definitely guess that this new network will be a bit more self-sufficient as far as charging. That's my guess. My guess anyway.
Yeah, unless if I put my NRMA hat on and said that, hey, this is a unique opportunity to wave my flag in other states and spruik my insurance deal offerings in those states for which I'm not domiciled, then maybe they'll say, hey, if you have NRMA insurance or you're a member of us, you might get free charging, which then undermines the entire commercial basis for fast DC chargers, and then actually acts to inhibit the installation of chargers elsewhere or in a similar location.
Yeah, no, I think they've learned their lesson from their current 50 kilowatt ones. I reckon they're going to treat them. They're going to act like more of a commercial charging network now. I mean, they kind of control ChargeFox or vice versa. So they might jump onto the ChargeFox rates or whatever, something like that.
What do you think?
Let's hope so.
What do you think about that?
It's
You're tricking on me, Jared.
Oh, it's tricky. Okay.
Yeah, so let's hope they do the right thing in the long term and ignore short-term gains or gamesmanship or whatever, because it goes without saying that if someone's providing something for free, people just can't resist to use it, and it's a disincentive for anyone else to come in. And these investments are large. So, out of the WAEV network, the average cost of each location is about $500,000. And that's for one DC charger location. And, I don't think any of these locations are going to deliver $500,000 worth of electricity, let alone $500,000 of return. So, let's hope the NRMA does the right thing. And wouldn't it be lovely if they decided to go up the Great Northern Highway, which we know they're not, but it would still be a lovely thing to do.
Yep.
Any news, Chuck, on any early rollouts on the NRMA project, or like any sort of early sites they might be approaching, perhaps at your side of the country?
Haven't heard anything, although I've been told of their 2 sites they're planning in Tassie. Apparently, one of them they've got the actual location kind of locked down, and the other one's
fantastic.
kind of the other one's kind of a broad you know, somewhere in that town or nearby, so they don't have that one. But it's a story I've heard. But there is some exciting Tesla news from Tassie. I'm just going to paste a link into the chat there.
Exciting Tesla news.
All right, let's.
Do you want to open that one up?
Oh,
What did you say,
Glenorchy.
Calvin? Sorry,
So let's just get this
I'll
up.
let you do the sharing. You know what you're doing there.
All righty. All right, please explain.
So finally, we're getting our service centre and showroom in Hobart.
Hey.
Oh, very good. Congratulations.
Yeah, so they're basically taking over a quarter of an Amart furniture building.
Yep.
And that document's actually pretty short. It's only 4 pages, so there's not a lot of detail, but it's pretty much. Yeah.
Well, 1,000 square meters is all you need to know, Chuck. That's
pretty much shows it all. Yep.
That's pretty awesome. That is fantastic.
If you zoom in there, you've got the logos. You might actually, I don't know if you recognize, looking at that the elevation diagram there, do you recognize that building from anywhere else? Is there anything familiar there?
A circus?
Oh, it's a bunny. Oh, no. It's not a bunny. Well, it is. It's a home hardware.
It used to be BBC Home Hardware about 20 years ago. That's right.
Yes, because it got the baubles. Yes.
That's it.
Very good. Geez, Chuck, you had me going. I thought, what am I missing? It's a home hardware. And was that a Bunnings previously? Did Bunnings take it over after Home Hard? Right.
Yep. It was all the same. Yep.
Very good.
Done that with Nationwide.
Actually, you know what they should do? What Tesla should do, because they're well known for, Tesla is well known for Tesla coils. Imagine having 3 Tesla coils on top. Whoa! With 50 million volts. That would be awesome.
I'll put in a submission to the council recommending that.
Absolutely. It's got to be a minimum viable product. It must be it must be mandated. At least 1 Tesla coil on top of one of those baubles. Fantastic. That's awesome news, Chuck. That's congratulations. And obviously it's going to transform the way, Tesla services all their customers and also basically makes it more compelling to buy that awesome product.
Yeah. Well, right now we all get our cars delivered on the backs of trucks delivered to our house. So I think that was okay when I got mine, and there were maybe 10 cars being shipped at a time in the holding yard at Devonport. But now for the past 6 months, there's pretty much been 30 or 40 cars there constantly coming in and out.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so good to hear. That really is. It's
but they must have figured getting a third party tracking company to do it for that many cars wasn't worthwhile.
Absolutely. Go, Pete.
Charles, any idea on timing at all?
No, it's just got into council, and there's a 2-week period for representations and things like that.
Did you say 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Quickly do the 2 weeks. Come on.
So how long does it take to drive an EV around Australia?
2 weeks.
Really? That's all?
Sorry, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do.
How long do you think all that'll take? 2 weeks. Really? Yeah, that's all.
Any idea when you're going to be finished here?
2 weeks.
How long will it take to put this place together?
2 weeks. I do get the permits. How long will the job take? 2 weeks. 2 weeks? 2 weeks? You sound like a parakeet there. 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Well, 2 weeks. It's amazing. Amazing nothing. It'll be a regular miracle.
Anyway.
Every time you play that, I always wonder why you don't have the 2 weeks from Total Recall in there.
I actually did. I did see that. Yeah. I have got that clip. I just don't have it spooled up. But yeah, you're dead right. And then that's where the thing just goes crazy and blows up, I think, if I recall correctly.
That's right. Yeah.
And of course we've got 146 Carrington Street, which is potentially a nearly 20,000 square meter block.
It's huge.
Which is huge. It is huge, and it will be awesome. We just don't know if they're going to lease the entire block or perhaps half of it. But that'll be a delivery center and a service center, and I would imagine probably a retail outlet as well, because it just makes sense.
Yeah,
So a real hub.
I'm just looking at the biggest one that I know of so far, which I think is one in Brisbane. I'm just measuring it on
That's
Google
big.
Maps now.
Yes.
It's indoor and outdoor. It's 8,500 square meters.
Right. Well, this will be
8,500. Yeah.
Yep. This will be potentially double if they get the entire block of land, which I think they are. They did have an application, not Tesla, but there was an application made to do some alterations to that location in the city of Fremantle, and it was approved within about 2 weeks. Strangely so, but we just don't know what was in the application. But it also has about 300 kilowatts of solar on the roof, which is pretty good too. So it would make sense to put some superchargers in to charge up the cars being delivered and serviced, for that matter.
Harold, can you confirm at all if Carrington's going to be in addition to rather than instead of Osborne Park, the showroom?
No, no. I would have thought, I mean, anyone that's been to the Osborne Park showroom can just see just how bad it is. Like service is so busy that the service now is like it was when it was at not Karrakatta. Yeah, opposite Karrakatta Cemetery, where it was a 100 square meter tilt slab, with a single hoist. So they're so crowded at Osborne Park that I would have thought once the lease expires, whenever that is, that Tesla would probably just move everything to Carrington Street. I dare say it probably makes sense, unless you just left Osborne Park as just a showroom, strictly a showroom, which possibly also makes sense. But that's not sort of information that we're privy to, Pete, unfortunately. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
So those bugs that you put in the house, they're not working, or we can't listen in? This doesn't work.
There are things that are known, and then there are things that are known to be known, and there are things that are said to be known, and they're all different.
Yeah, right. There you go.
But no, in all seriousness, no, I have zero idea. I would have thought I don't even know what their lease arrangement is, with the current landlord at Osborne Park. But clearly, commercial leases have an initial lease period plus 1 or 2 options. And the options are obviously for the lessee, as in Tesla, and they may just simply choose not to exercise an option once it comes due. But when did Osborne Park open? Was that end of 21 or 2020?
Would have been early 2021, I reckon. I picked mine up October or September 20, and it was just after that.
Yeah, right. Okay, so it might have been the end of 2020. So yeah, let's call it start of 2021. So that's 3 years, 22 and a bit years. So I would have thought they'd have at least a 4-year lease or something. I don't know.
What option?
I'm not familiar with commercial leases, to be honest, even though I've got one, but I can't remember what its period was. But it's usually, 3 or 4 years with a similar series of options.
5 and 5 is a very common one. And
oh, okay.
5 and 5 is another very common one.
Yeah, 5 is pretty popular.
And look, and there's nothing to stop Tesla from, if you want to call it breaking the lease, provided they find a replacement or pay for the costs to find a replacement tenant, which they might choose to do, or they might just choose to have it primarily focused on a retail outlet, which would be good to have a north and south one, nothing wrong with that. Given that, there are thousands of Teslas coming into WA every quarter. And in fact, there's a boat due, I think it's not secret that there's a boat due with Teslas, I think tomorrow. So a certain yours truly has to take his drone out and have a look. As long as it doesn't rain too much. So
Harold,
I'm
have
gonna
you
go to bed.
discussed
Yes, Carmen.
the delivery of the S's? Of the S?
Oh yes, yeah. So, well, you mean the non-delivery, like the non? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So,
We've received an advice that
Very
they're
late,
not
Carmen.
making right-hand drives.
yeah, exactly. It was in the news.
Does that mean that that they're not delivering to Australia or the whole of right-hand drives for the whole of the world?
Correct. So they have cancelled the S and X right-hand drive program completely, entirely. So, so they are not building Model S's and X's in right-hand drive in the UK. And in Japan, they are offering those that ordered S's and X's, they're offering them in left-hand drive configuration because in those two jurisdictions they're permitted. But to be honest, it's not ideal to have the steering wheel on the incorrect side of the road. It's okay if you're in Europe, you know, on a holiday and doing it temporarily. But yeah, or driving a rubbish truck or something like that. But it's not ideal as your daily driver, even though some people do it.
It doesn't sound very safe to me, and that to be honest, of everything about this cluster, is probably the thing that really just takes the biscuit. It's like, oh well, you can have a left-hand drive if you want. Won't be very safe, but you know, yeah, you can do it.
Well, they wouldn't be able to
So what's the
FSD
reason?
with it, would they? Because everything would be weird.
Yeah, so
I just don't get why you wouldn't offer that entire segment, and even if it would cost a little bit.
Means Richard,
yeah,
that your car is worth more money. It's a
yes,
classic.
exactly. So in answer to Carmen's question, which we had discussed earlier, but let's just ventilate it just one more time.
Sorry.
No, totally cool, Carmen. No, it's totally cool because it is quite interesting. On the left-hand side, this is an image of the Model Y that was built in Austin, Texas. And it's actually the one with the structural battery pack, which you can see a big gaping hole in the middle of it. And you can see that you got these holes here, which is for the steering column. This one's for the steering column, and this is for the brake and accelerator assembly. And this is the right-hand drive bit, obviously. And this is the left-hand side. So this is steering shaft and the accelerator and brake assembly. Now, the reverse image here on the right is a plaid Model S that Sandy Munro and Associates tore down. And you can see you've got your steering shaft and your accelerator and brake assembly. This is on the left-hand side. It's just that the image is reversed. And on this side, there's nothing there. It's not, the bulkhead doesn't have this same arrangement. So now that's not why they're not building right-hand drive S's and X's, not just because the bulkhead is not symmetrical, because in the past they have produced the same sort of thing, and the Model X that I had and Model S that my wife had, they had asymmetrical bulkheads, so they just had a penetration on the right-hand side and not on the left, and in America it was vice versa. The issue is that because Tesla hadn't planned or hadn't designed the refreshed S and X with this symmetrical bulkhead, it then meant that other parts of the front of the car were designed, or other parts or subsystems were designed in such a way that they weren't compatible with a steering shaft going on the right-hand side of the car. So there was a clash, and it just became too expensive to fix it. And it was because Tesla's engineers, when they were designing various bits, didn't keep in mind that you'd have a steering shaft on the other side. So the short answer is Model S and X, new Model S and X is dead and buried and gone. There is a possibility, for example, if you have steer-by-wire, which is not a steering shaft but done with electronics, purely with electronics, which is purely very, very much doable. If Tesla decides to implement that, and there are certain advantages, because you can have variable steering. If you've got a steering shaft, you can't really vary how number of turns from lock to lock. And obviously, like in Formula One, they only have half a turn each way for full lock. But those drivers are experts, and they're used to that sort of agile steering. us mere mortals, it wouldn't be very pretty if we had drove cars like that on like the highway or freeway, because we'd be all over the place. But if Tesla brings out drive-by-wire, steer-by-wire, sorry, then they could resurrect, or that version of the Model S and X might come to Australia. And then, since it's a bit later in the show and no one watches the middle of YouTube, because you always watch the juicy bits at the start and at the end, one less pleasant thought is, well, wouldn't it be funny if Tesla then said in a year's time, oh, actually, there's been such a lot of public opinion about wanting Model S and X in right-hand drive markets. Okay, we've listened to the masses, and good news, we're going to bring one out. And
I
everyone's
reckon they'll
happy.
do it.
And
I reckon
the
it's
issue
only
there,
temporary.
well, the issue there is, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I placed an order on the 9th of January, 2021, and the cost, I only ordered what you'd call a standard Model X, so it's the long-range Model X, not the performance. That car, I've got an invoice for, and its drive-away figure, which Tesla subsequently said they would abide by, was 170, I think it's 176,000 or 174,000, one or the other. Let's call it 175,000. Well, the price was incrementally going up, and I believe the price would be much more than $200,000. So they have now officially cancelled my order. So if they then subsequently in a year's time say reintroduce the Model X and the Model S, well, my order is dead and buried, and I would then be invited perhaps to pay $220,000. So if you're a conspiracy theorist and you wanted to look at the darker side of what might have happened, then that very neatly sort of kills off this large rump of liability, because there were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cars that would have been ordered in that window when there was a price at a discount. And since prices have gone up with inflation and all that sort of stuff, it probably would have cost Tesla a fair bit of money. So let's give that little conspiracy theory for the Tesla Q people out there that want to latch onto, a shadier side of what could happen. But I actually don't think they're going to introduce one until they introduce perhaps drive-by, steer-by-wire. And look, they may decide to do that sometime. Don't know. Really don't know.
Harold, I've got a great suggestion of how they can make it up to us. What they could do is to try and make it up to right-hand drive markets, is they could prioritise right-hand drive markets to be the first markets after Northern America for the release of the Cybertruck.
Yeah, correct.
And before then, bring out the 7-seat version of the Model Y. Because at least soccer mums and young families have an opportunity of getting a 7-seat, albeit not as large SUV, because at the moment there's a gaping hole in the Australian EV market. And do we really want to see Audi e-trons and Mercedes EQCs or whatever that get half the efficiency or 2/3 the efficiency of a Tesla? Does that really align with Tesla's, goal of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and transport? How does that align? But yeah, Pete, love your suggestion.
I'd say
Let's get Elon
there's two
Musk.
That's one, and the other one is utes, like a ute that can, something that can tow your caravan, like a decent caravan, a big caravan.
And that's what was lost. The Model X can tow 2.25 tons, and now that is off the market. Let's call it permanently
off the market.
And it's off. It's well in Australia it is not. There is nothing that can tow 2.25 tons, and furthermore, once I get the picture up.
They cancelled the Model X being in Australia to save Pete's marriage. Because Pete had one on order, and his wife found out it was going to be over, so they said, let's just cancel the. I'm more or
The,
less.
the other thing they've taken away is the ability to carry a 160 kilo tritium on road trips, and
Yeah.
for that is a disgrace.
Shocking.
So Tesla really does need to bring back
Their game.
the Model X.
They've effectively killed the shark fin, Harold.
They've killed the shark. Not only have they jumped the shark, they've actually killed the shark. You know, it was Fonzie that jumped it and Tesla's that killed it. I mean, Elon Musk said that Ford took the sexy out of sexy cars. Well, Elon Musk and Tesla have taken the shark and killed it.
Killed it. Killed
Killed
the
it.
shark. Yeah,
Killed the
sure.
shark. You know, a protected species, and he's killed it.
Killed it. Just killed
It's a bit like what GM did. They don't do any right-hand drive anymore of any model. So,
it's not,
Yep.
not wrong.
Yep.
Anyway,
So,
who needs Australia?
so they can bring out the look, and wouldn't that be a great consolation prize, at least to Australia? I mean, I know in the UK, I don't think the Cybertruck is actually. They're quite worried about it in Europe, like it doesn't comply with various things. I think you need different licensing or something because of certain weights or whatever. But
Well, why don't we say right-hand drive markets where a left-hand drive car is not an option?
That's
it. Yep. And it's not hard because let's hope that there is a symmetrical bulkhead. It's not hard because after all, the Cybertruck's components would be very similar to the Model Y and Model 3 components. The aircon systems, steering systems would be similar. You know, Tesla are no strangers to symmetrical layouts, so it wouldn't be difficult with that simplified dash. That's a non-dash. With the center touchscreen, it's easy. Yeah.
So Richard Chapman's got a really good investment now in that his X. It's just going to go through the roof in price. Now you can't get it.
Yeah, but he'd be too scared. He'd be too scared to drive it because if he writes it off, there is no comeback. So when RAC says new for old, it's like, it's not going to be new.
Good point. Yeah.
It's not for sale.
Yeah, there you go. Everything's for sale, the right price.
By the way, I love crappy journalism, and I'm not going to accuse anyone in the Driven of doing crappy journalism, except I am. There was some stupid report that said, oh yeah, the value of Model S or X has gone up by, there was a car listed for $99,000 and now it's listed for $150,000 or whatever. Well, the big thing everyone misses, the point is, no one bought it on car sales for $99,000. And at the time of writing that article, no one had also bought it for $149,000. So it's not worth 99
you can put
or
it on
149.
You can put it on for $150 million. That doesn't mean.
Does that mean the price just went up? Is it worth 150 million?
No. Does it mean it's the value's gone up that much?
No,
Of course.
no. The only thing that makes the value go up is when it gets sold and reported as being sold.
And you know, one daisy a spring doesn't make. So, you know,
Precisely.
One a few.
Yeah.
So,
now, Pete, you going to be better for Sunday, or you going to get some drugs put in you or something, or what are you doing?
I'll just slap myself out of it.
Oh, now that reminds me, there is. We obviously have got the power play.
Richard Chapman, you going to be at power play?
There's one
Yes,
ticket left. There's one ticket left.
You will be
Yes,
there?
we're flying to Italy on Friday night.
Oh, Italy. Oh, nice. Yeah, very nice.
And then, yeah, for a friend's wedding. So yeah, we're going to be in Europe for a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Sounds horrible.
There is
Terrible.
one ticket left. Actually, there's going to be there's going to be 2 tickets left when I refund someone who can't attend. But for anyone watching this in the next day or so, do book. I think, Pete, you've posted it up on our Facebook page, I think.
I have a few weeks ago, and I think Rob was reposting it today.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Rob did it today.
I will
Can I throw in another one?
Go, Shane.
Can I? Another EV event happening on Saturday. EV meets. I don't know who's involved in EV meets or has seen EV meets. We're doing an EV cruise through the hills on Saturday morning, and finishing up at the Baskerville pub. And starting just around the corner from my place, conveniently,
Which
and
pub?
ending up at the Baskerville Tavern.
Okay. Cool.
Very good.
So yeah, while I've been listening to you guys, I've been sitting here planning out the route. But yeah, it should be fun. Be nice to have
How long's the route roughly, Shane?
At probably an hour and a half. We're aiming for an hour and a half. Aiming to leave Gidgegannup about 11 and end up at the Baskerville Tavern about 12:30.
Very good. All right. Well, that's on Saturday, and then the power play is on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday
the 28th.
I'll see you all there, but you're not allowed to practice for the go-karts down my street. All right, that's off the cards.
Carmen, I think you should be on the go-karts. I think you should represent the city of Netherlands. He's frozen.
Oh, she's frozen up.
No, she's back. Partly frozen.
No, it's just the interwebs.
The web's gone.
It is the interwebs.
Folks, can I ask a question or two?
Yes, absolutely. Go, Richard.
I thank you. I traded in my Model 3 rear-wheel drive today for a Model 3 for a Model Y rear-wheel drive. Little tear in my eye, so I let go of the Model 3. It was very sad. Coming across from Melbourne to Perth mid-June, and Harold, you and I talked about the charging equipment. But I caught the tail end of what Ant was saying about the Ravensthorpe charger. Now I'm now thinking I might need to reprogram my trip, maybe to avoid Ravensthorpe and go up via Southern Cross and Meriden. But I'd prefer to avoid that. What was the gist of the problem at Ravensthorpe?
Okay, so the gist is that initially the 50 kilowatt tritium was installed at Ravensthorpe on a block of land that had its own power supply. But the power supply was inadequate. It was only rated at 22 kilowatts. So the charger was dialed down to 20 odd kilowatts, and that was that. So it was a slow DC charger. Then there's a couple of conflicting accounts on what happened next. Because I took that charger down on the back of a trailer, and it was installed. I had to go back. The next day, the charger was powered up, and it popped the boundary fuse. And Western Power came and replaced the boundary fuse, and the charger was dialed down in power. I think Ant indicated, well, the story that Ant said was that somehow Tritium had reprogrammed or updated this firmware of the charger, and then it had miraculously gone up to, or accidentally gone up to 50 kilowatts, and then later, some couple of months later, Western Power instructed the local electrician to replace the main switch in that switchboard or the circuit breaker with a 32 amp 3-phase circuit breaker, because Western Power said that the installation was non-compliant. So then what happens now, as we speak, is if you charge there, and unless your car was almost full, you would draw more than 22 kilowatts, which would cause the circuit breaker to pop within a couple of minutes. Unpowers the charger, game over. You power it back up again, but you can't charge because it'll pop within 2 minutes. And even if you thought that was a good idea, it actually takes a full 5 minutes for it to start up. So you're going to get 45 kilowatts for 2 minutes out of 5 minutes. Unless, look, you get some liquid nitrogen, pour it over, and I'm not suggesting you do this. Actually, that wouldn't work either. But anyway, so that was the story that Ant relayed. I've got a slightly different version of that story, whereby I believe that's not quite what happened. But in any case, what it needs to happen and is apparently going to happen shortly over the next day or two, or let's call it, well, today's Wednesday, yeah, maybe either by the end of this week or maybe by early next week, is that Gemtech / Tritium, or both of them, are going to dial the power down to 20 odd kilowatts. So it doesn't pop the breaker.
But it'll still be usable at that point, won't it?
Probably. Unless we get confirmation from someone. Well,
20 should,
yeah, but
20 should work. I just resent you, Harold, the photo of that I took of the cable, and that cable should definitely do 20 kilowatts.
Oh, it will. It's just, but the point is, there is right now a 32 amp, probably a C32, so C curve, 32 amp, 3-phase circuit breaker fitted in series with that charger. And we all know that will happily give you 33, 34 amps almost forever. Pull a bit more than that, and for many minutes, and it'll pop. Pull twice that, and it pops in a few milliseconds. So, presuming that Gemtech / Tritium do the right thing, set it to the right setting, it will work. But until you see someone confirm on PlugShare, I would not presume it's running, to be honest, as a safety measure. Yeah. I guess my main question is, why wouldn't you consider just going via Kalgoorlie and go the more direct route?
Yeah, well, we'll be staying in Norseman, so we'd probably have one more stopover. Well, I might be able to do it in one hit. I originally went off that path when Meriden was having its problems, and I thought, oh, it's just too hard. And we were actually going down to Denmark for a wedding, so it made sense for us to go.
No, okay.
Go straight through. But this time, I was just going to repeat the route. But if Ravensthorpe is, sort of a bit of a black spot, then I might need to rethink it. So is it doable Norseman to Perth in a day?
Oh yeah, oh yes. But actually, on reflection, you mentioned that Ravensthorpe's a black spot. It actually is not, in the sense that there is a Tesla destination charger in Ravensthorpe at the caravan park. So, and to be honest, if we look at the map, there is actually no fast DC chargers along the route from, well, Norseman. There's nothing between Norseman and Perth on the Great Eastern Highway. So, whereas there is, well, you're going to Denmark, so Albany is up and running.
No, I've already been on the Denmark trip. We were just repeating that because we found it convenient. So I was actually we were going to be going via Esperance and probably charging it, the Comfort Inn or something, just for a burst.
Yep.
Probably through Jerramungup, Munganup. It's a caravan park there. We can do a top up, but then we're going to stay at Ravensthorpe.
Yep.
Overnight. And conveniently, there'll be a fast charger there, so we could just top up in the morning and away we go.
No. So if you're staying at Ravensthorpe, there is at the what's it called? It's called the Greenhaven Caravan Park, which I think has chalets. There is actually charging there.
They do have chalets.
So if you were to stay there instead, you could charge overnight, and of course you'd be totally full. And that's in Ravensthorpe.
Okay, problem solved. That's great. Yeah. Okay,
and then
Lake Grace is fine, and Williams and on too. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and the great thing about Williams is you've got the supercharger, obviously, and you've also got the WEV network up and running as well on their charger at Williams, which incidentally looks like this at night time. So in fact, there's a few snaps. This is actually. I forget the lady on the left is Mary. She's from Synergy, and the other three people are from the Shire of Williams, and that was during the commissioning process. and you can actually see what the charger looks like at night. So this is actually one of the great caravan compatible.
Charge station.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
So you got plenty of space to put your caravan or keep your caravan.
Just good.
So there you go. So that's an ideal spot. But yeah, so Richard, yeah, definitely you can absolutely, if you overnight at Ravensthorpe, if you just make a booking at the Greenhaven Caravan Park,
yeah,
well, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, once again, I've got this little pet-friendly accommodation requirement. This time we're definitely bringing the dog. Left it behind last time and pined the entire time. So we need to find something that's pet-friendly. But I can give them a call and see what the go is.
Yeah, and look, and if they're not, but if you find somewhere else in Ravensthorpe that is, then just ask nicely. Look, I'm prepared to pay for a charge if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, the lady that's manager there is lovely, and I'm sure that she would be accommodating. So
yeah, okay.
So Ravensthorpe, yeah, is not all doom and gloom, and there's a very real probability that it will be up and running, albeit at a reduced rate. Bear in mind, ABC, always be charging. Best time to charge is when you're asleep. Yeah. So if you can charge while you're asleep, that's ideal. It doesn't waste. It means you optimize your time.
Yeah. So we've got six stopovers on the way through Mount Gambier.
When are you coming?
Leaving on the 9th or 10th of June, coming through Mount Gambier, then up through. We'll be staying at the Standpipe in Port Augusta.
Yep.
Then going through Kimber and Poochera and Sejuna and staying at Penong Caravan Park.
Very good.
The chalets.
Yep, Penong's great.
Then through to Eucla, but probably charging at Border Village because Eucla doesn't have any charging.
Yes. So you're going to stay at Border. You're going to overnight at Border Village.
No, overnighting at Eucla, because once again, pet friendly accommodation.
Okay. Can I give you one pro tip? Give you one pro tip. If you fully charge at Nullarbor, you could make it all the way to Mundrabilla without having to charge at either Eucla or Border Village.
Okay.
Yep, and Border Village, be really careful because Border Village is great, and there's some lovely people there that you really should meet. There's a particular chapter that's very proud being the westernmost South Australian. But where their charge point is, there you go. It's
it's in the shed. I've been there. Yeah,
I'm pretty nervous. I'm not a very nervous person. I take my car in all kinds of strange places. But I was a bit hairy about maybe doing a tyre driving around that area because there's all sorts of stuff everywhere, and it looked like tech screw country.
Right. Yeah. Well, funnily enough, the last trip I got a tech screw in the tyre a week before I had to leave, but got no punctures on the way, all the way across the Nullarbor and back. So I carried a spare tyre with me and didn't need to use it, but I had to get a couple of replacement tyres before we left. So, and now they're going to be chucked in the tip because, I've just traded in the car with the almost brand new tyres. So that's a bit of a shame.
Well, just bear in mind, like I said, you can absolutely get from Nullarbor Roadhouse to Mundrabilla on a single charge.
Yeah, and they've got accommodation at Mundrabilla, but once again,
Mundrabilla's got fantastic accommodation.
Have they?
Yep.
Okay.
It's really nice.
Okay.
They were upgrading it. We managed to get a room. Just go back a photo there, Harold. The one you had a second ago. We were in that room that's that one there. We were in the room that you can see there next to the red tin. It was fantastic. We just said we were coming there with a couple of cars that needed charging overnight, and they said, we'll give you the room right next to it.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
So really nice.
All right. Well, I might explore that option. Once again, it had, we'd like it to be pet friendly. I suppose we'd leave the dog in the car overnight in dog mode, but no, not our preference. But So I might explore that one. I can tell you though that Mundrobilla does have the most fantastic raisin muffins, best in the world. Unbelievable, right out there, and it's
I
just
highly recommend.
stunning.
I highly recommend the bacon and egg sandwiches at Cockle Beauty as well.
Oh, okay.
And you get a free charge there as well. You get a free charge and get to look at the eagles. It's great. It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Like I don't mind paying for charge. That's just part of the deal. But if they're prepared to throw something in for free, that's very lovely. Quick question about the Model Y. First day, it's done 27 kilometers.
Wow.
It's still calibrating the autopilot.
Oh, really?
And I recall the Model 3 did it for a while too. It took a while for the autopilot to kick in. It just kept on calibrating. What's your take on how long it takes to do that?
I think I put 40 kilometers on Richard Cooper's Model Y when I collected it on his behalf. And I had to actually do that because Tesla delivered it. It was a performance Y, and they delivered it at 100% state of charge. And obviously, on the long range cars, you're not supposed to go above 90 for any length of time. So I think I put 40 Ks on it, and it hit autopilot. Actually,
I had to do a bit more.
Sorry?
I had to do a bit more to calibrate the cameras. Like it didn't work when I got it.
Oh, really?
More before I could use autopilot.
I was pretty sure that it had calibrated.
I thought it would have, but anyway.
So it's in the order of sub 100
40
rather than sub 1,000.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, absolutely. One thing, Richard, is I think it'll calibrate quicker if you've got well-marked roads rather than say
like a highway with
back road, or even a highway. Yeah, anything well-marked. And look, just take it for a drive, which you're going to enjoy doing anyway.
Hey.
And look, it won't take long. You do notice there is a progress bar. It sort of circles clockwise.
Yeah, it seemed to have stopped. It's gone around 3/4 and then it's just stopped. Yep. But that
I think it's on the precipice.
Poorly marked roads or something at night time, and
That's what it will be.
Yeah.
Just take it on the freeway for 10K and you'll be right.
Okay.
Or anything, or highway that's daytime probably will help too. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it seems like go on.
So go on. Well, I was going to say, don't forget to turn on autopilot as well. I think.
In the beta. Yeah.
Yeah, turn all that stuff
switched on. Just waiting for it to calibrate. The efficiency of the Y is obviously a little bit less than the 3, and I was pretty comfortable with the 3. Did you have any concerns about doing the Nullarbor stretch?
Oh no, it's a doddle. So, like I said, the longest stretch was between Nullarbor and Mundrobilla. Everything else is shorter, and I forget the distances, but it was well within the capabilities and not even trying. So you got the rear wheel drive Y?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So the longest
wheels.
Yes, perfect. So the longest stretch either Pete or I did without charging was 400 kilometers. Pete did it from Broome to Fitzroy Crossing. I did it from Fitzroy Crossing to Broome. In that case, yes, you do have to go a bit slower than the speed limit.
Yeah.
But you've got nothing like that. I think from memory, Mundrobilla to
285K.
Right. Yeah. So it's sub 300 Ks. It's a doddle. Yeah. It really is a doddle. So if you were going to charge in the daytime anyway at say Border Village, you might as well just spend a bit longer at Nullarbor and charge right up. And the great thing too about the Model Y battery pack is that it charges quickly all the way up to 100. Well, 99 Ks. It'll do your 11 kilowatt charging all the way up. Yeah. So it doesn't taper off like the NCA batteries do to get to basically as close to 100 as you can get.
Yeah. The 3 was absolutely fantastic. I was getting about 6 kilometers per kilowatt hour along the Nullarbor, and that was just sensational. What a great trip.
I don't even know what that means. Let me just invert that.
I think
166
it's about 155
watt hours. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just sensational. And what else was there? If it turned out that I needed to borrow one of the cons for the return trip, for
Yes.
reasons we discussed. How long is
Yes.
that cable? Because, for example, the Putra plug was quite a distance from the
I've got a 22 amp 3-phase that you can borrow for a little while if you like cable, extension cable. It's about 10 meters long. It's definitely buckets to get across to get the Putra one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a peak like Harold Orange one.
I'm tossing up with the idea of either borrowing or buying an extension cable. I'm borrowing an EVSE from the Australian Tesla Owners Club, but that's got the 5-pin connector, and it's got a bunch of tails. So when you add the tail onto the actual EVSE cables, it stretches to about 8 or 9 meters, which is about enough. But if I'm actually thinking about, there's several options. Buying an EVSE, a juice booster, which is only a 5
I'm
meter.
not sure if you can still get the juice boosters in Australia.
I think they're an unlabeled one. It's EV Chargers in Queensland, and they're selling a bunch of these which don't have a last charge or last amperage memory. They default to 32 amps, which is fine when I use it at home on a single phase. But once I go to some of these places, I'm liable to trip fuses if I forget to reset them.
No, you won't. No, because it'll be 3-phase and your car will draw 16 amps 3-phase. So your car will draw 32 amps single phase.
Yep.
Or up to 16 amps 3-phase.
So if I set the unit, or if it defaults to 32 amps, will the car then drive the amperage?
Yes. So all that the EVSE is doing is telling the car you can have 32 amps whatever phase.
Yeah.
But the car says that's lovely, but all I'm going to pull is either 32 amps single phase or 16 amps 3-phase.
Okay.
So unfortunately, the car won't pull more than 16 amps 3-phase, which is 11 kilowatts. So you'll be fine, except for any location, which there are virtually none, pretty much, that have a 20 amp outlet. And if you had a 20 amp adapter, then you would have to dial it. Oh, no, sorry, I'll take that back. Sorry, forget what I just said. I'm an idiot. Forget what I said. The car only draws 16 amps. It's less than 20 amps and it's less than 32 amps. So you're fine. Okay. You're still fine.
Okay. So that's a 5 meter length. So I'd need to get an extension cable for places like Putra. And I think maybe even the one at Border Village was a fairly long run too.
Yes, but like I said, I recommend
my cones made it from the Border Village one to my car.
Is that a 5 meter length?
No, no extension, nothing. The cones was as it is.
Whatever it was, yeah.
But Shane, so can you confirm that at Putra it would not make it?
It did. No, it definitely did not. But my extension had 10 or 12 meters or whatever length of cable I managed to find. It definitely made it with like enough that again to spare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll juggle all the options and see how it goes.
The catch at Putra would be for anyone in is it an S or an X that can pull 22 kilowatts?
Yes.
Definitely dial your car down.
17 kilowatts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely dial it down. Probably, probably even dial it down less than 17. We were tripping it. We definitely tripped it at 20. I'm pretty sure we tripped it at like 18. I think we had to go all the way back to 15 or thereabouts before it stopped tripping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And interestingly, it's on a 32 amp breaker. There's something dodgy.
I think it's getting a bit hot there, Shane. I think because it's tightly packed and it's going out on thermal overload. It's like it's building up excessive heat.
It was definitely going out on thermal overload, but it shouldn't have done. Not on the day we were there. It wasn't right. There was something not kosher.
Now, Richard, if it does come to pass that you need to borrow the cons from the club, then I can also lend you the extension cable because you're going to have to return the cons anyway, and you might as well just return it by road freight, and in which case the extra weight of the cable won't make a big difference. So if you do have to borrow it from us, or you need to borrow it from us, then I'll just lend you an extension cable. And
fantastic, thank you. And how many of those loaner units do you have available?
An adequate number.
Adequate, okay, gotcha. Just that, you know, we're going over for a particular period of time just to support my elderly dad, and it could happen that, you know, I might need to stay a bit longer. And if it does happen that way, I might know how long I need to stay. So I probably need a, you know, a sort of a fairly open-ended window of opportunity rather than just, okay, you can have it for the month of July, or you can have it for 2 weeks in August, or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess we can have a bit of a chat at the time.
Yeah, I dare say I might be using it in November, but
okay, yeah, all right.
That's a long time away.
Yeah, and it might transpire that I go and buy one of these things from EV Chargers, and it'll all be said and done. Okay, I've bored people enough, so thank you very, very much.
No, it's never a bore talking about road trips. That's the best part of owning an EV, and that's the exciting bit that everyone should do.
Yeah,
and you know,
I'm really looking forward to doing it in the Y, with all the extra room. The 3 was fantastic, but the Y is going to be splendid.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, in my humble opinion, it's the best car. Go for Shane.
I got a road trip question, but probably Harold is the most qualified to answer. 330 Ks, one charge in my standard range standard range 3, sorry. Well, yeah, that's fine, no worries. On gravel.
I have the only gravel I've been on is on Portsmouth Caravan Park, and that's nearly 20 kilometres each way. Well, one way.
Oh, true. Okay. I've done.
And I've also done between.
More than that, but...
Well, sorry, and I take that back. And in my Model X, I did the trip from Hyden up to Southern Cross. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I forget how far. That's 100 and. Sorry?
I think Emu Fence Road is probably the longest one I've done. I would have done maybe 70 Ks on wet gravel, and that completely trashed my range. That was not good. That was through the Fitzgerald National Park. Actually, I did maybe 100 through there. Yeah, but has anyone done a significant distance on gravel, and how did they go?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
The best person to speak to, Shane, is the Tokiva guys, maybe Andrew Harvey or John Edwards or Jürgen Landsman, because they did about half of the Perth to Sydney Marathon was on gravel. So
right, okay.
They would have some really great data.
Yep. And mine was 100 and, I think it was this middle one actually. I think it was 176 Ks. So that's from Hyden to Southern Cross. Although it was dry.
Yeah, usually you go to the next bit to Bodallen or whatever it is.
Or was it this one? Well, it was I don't think it was 210 kilometers.
I think it's that one.
Maybe it was that one. No, maybe it was this one. I don't know, to be honest. But it was one of these. It wasn't that one. But it was let's call it close to 200 Ks. Yeah. And it was fine. And that's in the Model X.
Yeah, that was the one I did. I wouldn't call that gravel. That was like hard sand. It was almost limestone. It was a pretty solid road.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I think Richard Chapman. I think Richard Chapman is still picking out the iron dust or the bull dust out of the door seals and all that stuff out of that car, and he'll do that for the rest of its life. But it went well.
Yeah,
no issues.
No worries.
But you're right. It does use a bit more. And actually, I did notice on Portsmouth Caravan Park on that access road, which is it's like bull dust. Like it's just they grade it annually or something, and that's really weird. It's like a bowl. Like it's actually a bowl shape. It's I haven't got any.
Hang on. Just give me 1 second, Harold. 1 second.
But it's basically a bowl shape. It's a very exaggerated bowl shape road, and Pete is going to show us. Oh, that's my Model X. Yeah, it's got ruts and it's quite rutted and sandy and bowl shaped. Yep, and I got almost the same photo in my Model Y, and Pete probably has too.
I call that a reasonably good gravel road.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty hard, but bumpy. You can see the undulations closer up.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, 330 Ks. You reckon I can do it?
So you've got
depending on how far
where from where to where. Well, this is an easy way to do it. You plot your thing. You make sure you've got the proper distance, and before you get to the halfway point, as long as you've got more than half your battery left at the halfway point, you'll be all right.
Fair enough.
That's the easiest way to do it without extra skills, or extra dongles and stuff. So, I'd give it a go.
Extra dongles?
Well,
I would go really slow.
If you got Scan My Tesla, you can look at your usable. If you got a dongle which you do, if you got sexy buttons. No, don't. No, I don't recommend you do that. No. But you can then literally plot out how many kilowatt hours are usable in your car, in your battery. You divide your distance by that number. Sorry, you divide that number by the distance, and that gives you your target watt hours per kilometre, and you militantly keep it below that number and put money in the bank.
So in other words, worm. Follow the worm.
Yes.
Make your own worm. Follow it.
Yes, and follow it militantly, and you have to adjust your speed so as to make sure that you are beneath the worm or beneath the glide slope, and then you're putting money in the bank, and that will then get you there. And obviously, one checkpoint is when you're half distance, you've got to have more than half.
Yeah, there's no return.
Battery.
Yeah. Well, provided there's no elevation change, which there probably is. But
so
anyway.
go to Google Maps, plot it as a bicycle, and it'll give you the elevation change. And if the change is neutral, is much the same, then don't worry. If it's favourable, that's good. If it goes up and down, as long as it's not a big up at the very end and then a down, in other words, you don't want to run out before you get to the top of the mountain before you regenerate, you'll be fine. But just modulate your speed. You might have to do 80. You might have to do 70. Oh, well, whatever. Just see how you go.
I might have to do 50. Might have to do 50, but
just go as slow as you can bear for the first quarter of the trip, because the first quarter will be enough to change your whole calibration, and then the computer will tell you whether you'll make it or not.
Where's it from to? Where are you going? If it's not secret.
I don't want to. It is.
It's okay. No, don't worry. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
It's not super secret. It involves 174 kilometres of highway.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's all right.
It's a bit after that. The 174 kilometres of highway that apparently haven't been driven by an EV. In WA.
That's totally fine. So, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So sorry, I thought you said 174.
Yeah, the 174K bit is fine. You know where? I'm assuming you know where that is.
No. Yeah, no. Don't worry about that. So, I thought you said you had to do 334 Ks of dirt.
Yeah, for the next bit. Like if I went to that bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Then there's an extension after that I'd like to go. There's a.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
Site at the other side.
No, let's not divulge it. No, it's totally cool. So the point is, get the runs on the board, as Pete suggests, go a little bit slower, get surplus. And look, with your Scan My Tesla, you're about to do that because just look at the usable, not the nominal, the usable. Because the usable is the one that's got less. It's the usable plus your buffer is what is the theoretical level in your battery. Don't dip into your buffer because you just don't want to do it.
That's bad news.
Yeah, just don't do it to yourself. It's going to end badly because if you inadvertently blip your throttle for whatever reason, as soon as your battery pack cell voltage goes below a certain threshold, your car shuts down. End of story. You're not going anywhere, even if you had an extra 5Ks of range. So don't do it.
Yeah. That's what I'm rolling out, the fold out solar panels.
So,
sorry, I had to say it.
Well, I kind of alluded to it earlier. That website, and I've got a screenshot somewhere, used to have a daily odometer of how many kilometers of the trip was done courtesy of the rollout panels, and it never got above 400 Ks out of the couple of dozen thousand. No, it was went kind of a long way, so I think it was nearly 20,000 Ks that they ended up doing, and they neatly turned off the odometer at the second last day because it was kind of embarrassing. Just saying.
Yeah.
And look, you shouldn't
make
punish yourself by trying to charge your car on solar panels you bring along because it's just not going to happen. Just don't do it, kids.
Yeah.
Unless you got a Tesla Semi and a 40-foot trailer with side panels that flip up and other awesomeness.
Yeah. No, I did have a chappie the other day talking about that and said, oh, they should put a solar panel on the roof of your car. Why don't they put a clear roof? Why don't they put a solar panel? And
I've never heard that before. No one's ever asked me that.
Surely not. So yeah, I just stood there and did the maths in front of him and said, yeah, so that would take about 7,000 years, or I don't know what it was, but it was lots.
In the zombie apocalypse, it's good because you'll get 10 Ks a day on sunshine.
Yeah, on the roof of your car.
Yes, or on all the surfaces. You get all the bonnet, the roof, and the bit of the boot.
Yeah. If you got a solar panel strapped to your house, that's a different story.
Precisely.
You just wait until Aptera release their vehicles in Australia.
Oh yeah, that's a classic,
you reckon
isn't it?
Nah, probably not.
They're looking awesome.
They look pretty neat.
They do, but it's not a car, is it? It's
no,
a quadricycle.
Motorbike.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone gave me one, I wouldn't knock it back.
Oh, I'd love one. A second car, especially, I'd love
it. I'd actually prefer that to a Cybertruck personally. You go. Oh dear. Oh, them's fighting words.
Right, Richard. Thank you for joining us. You'll be leaving us right now. Oh, sorry. That cable's actually occupied. I need to wash my hair that day.
I've got my order in.
That's all good. That's all good.
Another quick question. A friend of mine in Canberra, his mate picked up a Model 3 just recently. It's got a pedestrian warning system when you put the car in reverse. Now, apparently, the Model Y's got it as well.
Does
yours? I've got the manual here from my Y, and it says, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't see it, but
yeah, we
pedestrian
can.
warning system. Actually, let me just spotlight that. So, yep. The pedestrian warning system, if equipped, causes Model Y to emit sound when driving below approximately 33 kilometers per hour or while driving in reverse. Electric vehicles operate quietly and blah blah. Right. Sound activates whenever your Model Y is shifted out of park. Gets louder as speed increases.
Yep. And then further down, it does say.
Note: pedestrian warning system may not be available in vehicles manufactured. Oh yeah, prior
I'm
to
getting mine done on
July.
Friday morning. They're coming to put that speaker in.
Oh, it requires a separate speaker, does it?
Yeah, as far as I know,
Damo's is
yeah.
older. Yeah, but Damo's car, his Model 3 is a year or two old. Damo, 18 months.
For December 21. So it's what now? Yeah, about 14 months or something like that, Harold.
Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah, so Richard,
I thought you were about the same as me, Damo. Sure, it wasn't December
A bit
20.
after you, I think, Shane, not very far, but basically Pete's Pete's wife's car, Model 3, I think he got that about 2 weeks after me.
Yeah, but Pete can't remember when that was because there's been a couple of.
And it was in December 21. Thank you. Yeah, it was December 21. Thank you very much, Harold.
You're welcome, Pete. Anytime.
I'm out of here anyway. I'm at work. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah, no worries, though, mate.
See you,
Take care, mate. Yes, that's really interesting, Richard. So, did you notice any noise coming out of your car in reverse, or you?
No,
Yeah,
that's
right.
the weird thing. My friend in Canberra said his mate picked up his car and his mate and this really futuristic sound. And he's very envious. And I looked it up and I thought, well, it's in the Model 3 manual, and look, it's in my manual too. So do I have to do something to activate it, or?
I hope not. Well, oh yeah. Well, actually, no. That would be good if you had a switch to say on or off. That would be cool because it's always good to have options. Yeah, right.
And it actually says if it's not working, call Tesla immediately. So I might have to do that.
Oh, right. Because I don't think it's mandatory in Australia yet, although many cars like the Hyundai Konas, the latest versions, do it. But I think that's because Hyundai have just found it simpler just to have the same thing across all markets and it keeps it consistent.
Okay.
Whereas Tesla, I don't even know if we've got a speaker in like our wires, and they're only.
We don't.
We don't?
Pretty sure.
And I haven't looked in my performance wire, which was built in.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember when it was built, to be honest. January, I think.
So is this the boombox speaker you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think is that been made illegal now, Pete? In America, you can't do it.
You can. You just can't have your own sound files. Whereas
that's what I mean. You can't do custom. You can't do custom sounds anymore. You can't do fart noises or clippity cloppity horse noises and stuff.
Because it might distract the pedestrians.
Yeah, or make you look
crazy.
like a tool or sound like a tool. But
on one hand, they're saying you need to make noises to alert them to it, but you can't distract them. So go figure.
Yeah, they might get startled and then you run over them because they couldn't believe what they were hearing.
Yeah. They were looking for the horse. I can also report that my Model Y, that is an April build, has got better suspension than the one I test drove in, I don't know, September or something.
So that's got the same one as the performance? Yes. So we did know that the performance cars, which only came out in the last 2-3 months, that they had revised part numbers for the shocky struts, basically, and that changed the rate and made it more comfortable. But so you're saying that in this, they've also carried that across to the standard range, rear-wheel drive.
It certainly feels smoother over bumps. And someone on Whirlpool apparently took a snapshot of their part numbers, the shocks and springs, and they're upgraded from the January ones.
Awesome.
They've got an E suffix on the end of the shocks, and I think the performance had an F, so it's probably a different rating for the different performance level. So the E level is the equivalent of the long range version in the US. So
gotcha.
So that's all good news for people taking shipments coming up. So that's
very nice. Awesome. And of course the long range versions will be available June, July, or maybe July, June.
Yeah, apparently there's a ship coming in nowish into Melbourne, but
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was probably the one that came via Perth, because there was actually one I heard of that came to Fremantle but didn't do any movements, and there were Tesla on board, but they were destined for the eastern seaboard. which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all happening. There's Model Ys everywhere. It's just unbelievable here.
Well, look, the current numbers seem to be 2 to 1 of Y mix of Ys to 3s.
Yeah, I took a snapshot of the delivery center, and it was quite frightening how many of these. No, I probably can't make it out, but
yes, that's
one
nice.
part of it.
Yes, yeah, lovely.
But most of them were Ys. It was quite a phenomenal sight.
Well, I think we had 80 or 79 Model 3s and 420 Model Ys at Fremantle a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. And there's another shipment coming tomorrow. So
yeah,
as you know, you can't go for a drive without seeing a bloody Tesla on the road that's not yours.
Yeah, and mine's white, poverty pearl white. So
poverty pearl white.
I'll blend in very nicely.
And all white interior or just a black interior?
No, just the black.
Oh, so you're going full on Povo white.
Absolutely, yeah. I was stretching to get to the Model Y anyway, so I really wanted to get the long range, but just couldn't make it work. And given that I can come across the Nullarbor in a rear wheel drive, I couldn't see the benefit apart from the extra acceleration. So I figured I could do without that.
That's not worth it.
It's not, because to be honest, with the long range, the one impediment you have is the 90%. So you're always leaving home at 90% of its total capacity, which then means the actual net difference on a daily driving basis is not that great. And as long as you've got fast DC chargers within a couple hundred k's of each other, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, and it's a considerable amount of money. So
yeah. Apart from as Richard Cooper says, apart from the acceleration, which is kind of good.
Irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant.
It is.
Yeah, look, I haven't even driven a long range or a performance in either the 3 or the Y, and I've kept away deliberately because I know that once I do, my eyes will be popping, and yeah. So I don't want to talk about it anymore.
So the question, Richard, is what flavour of Cybertruck have you got reserved? Did you go the
poverty pearl white?
No. Well, there's poverty stainless steel. It's Povo stainless steel.
I don't think they're anybody going to be Povo. I think they're going to be a bit more expensive than
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but to have something that can tow 6.5 tons, do 800 kilometres, and it'll cost around about $150,000 or so is.
Well, if I had $150,000 or so lying around, I probably would have kept the Model 3 because I loved that car. I just loved it.
No, Richard, your best car is always your next car. So
that's true.
You put it behind you and you move on to the next shiny toy, and it's an awesome shiny toy to drive around in.
I'll just start softening up the Wi-Fi on that one.
You do that.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you come, it'll be fine. We'll just work out whether you need the cons, and if you do, there's not going to be an issue with the extension cable. Like I said, yours truly might be needing to use it in late November. That's a long time away.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It just gives me that extra option just to increase the flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's awesome to see you coming back to WA. It's great. Like, just keep doing it, and one day turn it into a lap. Takes an extra couple of weeks, and you can turn it into a bona fide lap.
Once Hardu and is Fitzroy Crossing back in action?
Yes. There's basically I'll just get the main roads map up.
The temporary gravel run across there now.
Precisely. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Sorry, excuse me for 2 seconds. I don't know if I've got it up. I'll just do it again. So it's just main roads. Yeah, here we go. Travel map. So it actually shows Fitzroy Crossing as a temporary. Fitzroy Crossing's about there. Yeah. So there's actually a diversion, and there's a temporary causeway that they've put up here. So
okay, so it is doable.
Absolutely, and it says you got to actually go back, but no, it is definitely open at the moment. I think it's this one. Yeah, single lane causeway open to all vehicles up to heavy rigid. So and that's as of 5:19 tonight.
Okay.
Right. They showed a shot on TV the other night. I think.
So again, Pete, you just cut out then.
Oh, they showed a view of it on the TV the other night. News. It's the temporary one, but it looks quite good.
Yeah, absolutely, and I believe they've demolished the old bridge just last week or so.
Yeah, they just started last week, pulling it down.
I think I'll do a trip to Uluru before I attempt that run, but you never know.
Well, once Pardue is done, and look, to be honest, by this time next year, virtually all of the WEV network, with probably very few exceptions, will be completely open. And that means you'll be able to go from Kununurra in the top end all the way to Eucla on fast DC charges. You know, and that'll just be amazing. And then notwithstanding the crappy RAA network, you'll only have to put up with a little bit of slow charging between, let's say, Eucla and Ceduna. And that's not very far, to be honest. No. And the Northern Territory.
Having a decent stop and a break actually makes you refreshed for the next leg of the journey. So it's not really a huge impost. I mean, you can make it work for you, so it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But the nice thing is the Queensland Electric Superhighway. I think Mount Isa is next, and Hughenden is done, and Cloncurry I think is done. So in that inland route towards the Northern Territory, a lot of that's done as well. So then you've only got the pain point of Camberwell, which if ever you do go there, just make sure you, as it says on PlugShare, ring the guy with maybe a day or two's advance notice, so he's happy, and then you can charge.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely do it. One you haven't lived until you've done all that.
Okay. All right, I'll get my Cybertruck, then I'll do it.
Yeah, well, take a number because there'll be a few of us doing it in Cybertrucks. Just saying.
Orderly queue.
You might have to buy.
Well, or it could be disorderly. I think there's it was who was going to go straight across? Steve Dax. Steve was going to drive his straight across the middle. So, given that was it Drew Baglino profoundly bogged the Cybertruck at the end of the on the way back to the Gigafactory from
I saw that footage.
Yeah, from the lithium, from the groundbreaking at the lithium processing plant.
It's Christie.
Yes, but then again, he probably didn't lower his tire pressures and all that stuff. So
didn't have knobbly
there'll be some
tires.
excuse.
Yeah, they had street tires.
That's right. Didn't have knobbly tires exactly. But I think Pete and I will be driving in non-knobbly tires on tarmac, just quietly.
Very quietly.
Possibly.
Well, once again, thanks for all your advice and guidance. I think I might hit the road now. So
no worries, Richard. And, well, thanks for joining us from the future. So it's late for you.
No
so it's
great. I get more out of it by staying up than just checking out on YouTube later. So it's good.
Absolutely, it's the interactive part that you get the full gamut. So that's but yeah, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us, and coming to this awesome state. So
hey, you're very gracious, and I'm happy to come across. So
no worries, excellent.
Catch you again next time.
Hope today is going, which is tomorrow for us, is starting off well.
Yeah. Tomorrow is today, is tomorrow. Yeah.
Precisely. All right. It's all a jumble. Fantastic.
All right,
thanks.
See you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks
Take
all.
care. All right.
So is it time to see my latest mod? You guys are hanging in.
Oh. hang on a sec. Let me just make sure I can see stuff properly. Let me just rearrange myself.
I'll have to take you out to the garage.
All
Well,
right.
I've got 2 Teslas now, you see, and it's hard because I've only got one wall charger.
Okay, so wait, are we? Can I put you full screen? I think I can. Okay, let's do that. Let's just spotlight. Let's see Richard's den.
So there's my den. Now, can you see?
Oh, a tennis ball.
Yeah, you can see a tennis ball, but what you can also see is cable management.
Oh, yes.
So I can charge my wife's car like this, and I can charge my car. You like it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow, that's pretty funky. Look, and they're both blue.
I know, because I wasn't going to keep the Model 3.
Oh, hang on. What was that? What was that bit of LED purple coming out of your door handle, Richard?
Oh no, that's nothing. Have you seen that?
Oh, look at that. Rainbow colours. Very nice.
So yeah, and I've got a gantry so my wife can drive the Model 3 out, and I'm still charging my Model Y.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's very clever. And that's still compatible with your sectional door, so it doesn't bind up with it.
No, it's actually good because I can, rather than just hanging, I can actually have it. My wife said, "Well, why don't you just get it?" And it actually clips over the over that thing. Hang on, I'll undo it and show you.
So, is this available on Amazon? You know,
No.
like
No, it took me a couple of hours to build that.
yeah, but that was the first one. The second one will take you an hour. Then the third one will take you 3/4 of an hour.
I can't see because of the lighting. Hang on. So it's just a bit of aluminium tube and some clever engineering bolted to the ceiling. Where is it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you can't see very well.
It's a little bit difficult with the light, but yeah, no, we get the gist. That's pretty good.
Hang on, I just walked past my car and my bonnet went
up. So
anyway.
Someone just lifted their bonnet up. Yeah. I didn't know Teslas could do that.
No, some can. Special ones.
Very good.
So it means that my wife can drive the car out while I'm charging and I don't have the cable on the ground. And
yeah, absolutely.
Got bored, so I had to do something a couple of afternoons ago.
That's awesome. That is.
It's very good.
Oh dear, you're just giving us car envy, Richard. You really are. You're just making us feel a bit inadequate.
I wasn't expecting to keep it, but I got such a just dismal trade-in on the Model 3 and such a good one on the Lexus that I got rid of the Lexus.
Very well. That wasn't well. There you go. That's perfect outcome, really. If you're honest.
FSD on the Model 3, which I haven't. I've just gone halfway on the Model Y.
Oh, very good for the 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually a look. Apart from the traffic lights,
which is often good because it's a green light and as you go through it rather than you having to
double tap. That's right, to reassure it every time if there's no car in front, and that can be quite annoying.
Can catch you
because you wonder why your car's slowing down, and it's like, but it's a green light. It's like, oh,
yeah,
yep.
The other way to do it, got FSD, is just tap the accelerator and it clears it. Don't know if you know that.
Oh no,
it doesn't accelerate the car. You just tap the accelerator and it'll go through the green light rather than slowing down.
As long as you're close enough to the green light when you
in the zone.
It's stopping for traffic lights and it's green. You can double tap or you can just tap the accelerator.
Yep.
Just a little blip.
That's
that's
good to know. I just learned something.
You just tap it. Boom.
Yeah. Just a little blip. Just so it knows you're there. So you've responded.
Yep. Yeah.
Very good.
There you go.
I just learnt something. Absolutely. Now let me just see if this is going to work.
At the third stroke, it will be 10, 59, and 40 seconds.
Okay, well, it's nearly 11 o'clock. Yeah, well, there's probably a slight delay. We'll do one more.
At the third stroke, it will be 11 o'clock precisely.
1 second.
Very good. That never gets old. Well, it is old. Alrighty. If there's no other last bits, we might end this awesome show. And as if I didn't already know, Pete, how would you customarily end this great show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
So smart. Get better, Pete.
Look forward to seeing you at this week's Power Play if you're booked to go. And even if you're not, come and just enjoy everyone else having fun and spectating. It should be spectacular. And we obviously do look forward to next week's special statewide Synergy Horizon Power WA EV Network progress report, which is going to be awesome. And on that note, have a wonderful evening, everyone.
We won't talk about the share price. See ya. Bye.
We won't. Good night.
See you guys. Good night.